Hello, and welcome to episode 6. Atul and I are joined this time by Sudip, who's returning from our last podcast, episode 5, where we review The Dark Tower, and my little sister Samantha, photographer extraordinaire and Stephen King enthusiast. In this episode, we are reviewing It, Stephen King's It. It just came out this weekend. It was pretty good. I'm making this drag out a little bit too long, so I'm just going to go ahead and say, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your doom.
Welcome to your doom.
Welcome to a podcast. That's how it goes.
Yeah, don't worry. I rambled last time. That was my first time, so this is only my second time.
I've never done podcasting.
You're doing it now.
Hooray!
Hooray!
Here, I need to write something down real quick before we get started.
We've already started.
Yeah.
Okay.
So start right now.
Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome to your doom. Welcome.
Yeah,
This is Justin.
yeah, this is Atul Katru.
We've also got a couple of guest stars with us today. So we've got the returning champion from the last podcast.
I think it was the last.
It was the
one,
last
yeah.
one. Sudip's back. We're talking another Stephen King classic.
Yeah, we figured we would bring him back for every Stephen King film adaptation that we review.
Are we watching Stanley Kubrick's Shining next?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well,
Yo,
Yeah,
we should
we
do a
should do
live
that.
viewing of that. That could be fun.
yeah. No, that could
I've
be
never
good.
actually seen The Shining all the way through.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. I did maybe like 3 years ago. I watched it for the first time all the way through. It's a trip. It's something.
Yeah.
It's quite something. We should actually do that. That wouldn't be bad. I mean, we've got an alien thing to, a whole
got a
bunch of movies to do. We've got to do all the Stephen King stuff. I've got nothing but time on my hands.
Okay.
Yeah.
Our second guest star is actually my little sister, Samantha.
Hi.
Hi. So we brought her on board because she just recently smashed the entire book of It. And
then watched the miniseries.
And then watched the miniseries after that.
He
So
means read, not like literally smashed it, because no one here can actually lift that book.
that book is massive. When you were reading it, I was like, what the fuck? Are you reading the
I was happy
Bible?
I had the Kindle version.
Good lord. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
So yeah, Sammy, you wanna talk about yourself? What do you like to do? What are you doing here?
That was the thing. What am I doing here? I came to complain.
You can't complain. No.
No. I do a lot of photography and stuff like that. So a lot
What do
of
you got
concerts.
going on photography wise lately? Because I know you're funny. Your Instagram's dope as shit.
It is. I can second that as well. Like, so the photography that you do, at least I'm going to try and describe it. You tell me,
How accurate it is.
I am. It's like, I feel like these are like really dramatic, dynamic shots of bands that are playing at what venue, or is it a particular?
Everywhere.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's
Kind of
like
everywhere.
really like great, like striking photography, and you do a really good job with it. And every time I pass it on Instagram, I think I've told you this before. Every time I pass it on Instagram, I think it's an ad. You know, like I have like these really nice like photographs of families, and it's like it's an ad for like diapers or something like that. Yeah.
Something like that.
When I pass your images on Instagram, I actually think it's an ad for something, like an ad for a venue or something like that. So they're really well done.
Oh, I appreciate that.
So is that what you do? Do you do that sort of like full time? That's like your major gig?
Not full time. Hopefully soon it'll be full time. I'm working between 2 music venues currently, and I guess that kind of helps with the photography as well.
Cool. Yeah. Have you seen anything or watched anything or read anything recently that you've enjoyed? Can you read?
I can read.
Yeah. Oh,
You're
excellent.
step up on me apparently.
That's right.
The ongoing joke is I can't read.
Can't read?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we keep reviewing movies based on books that Justin has not read yet.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But
I won't read them. They're fucking too big.
Nobody
Nobody got time for that.
Well, then get the Stephen King's Everything's Eventual. It's 14 short stories.
What is that?
I have it in my bag.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
Is it just a bunch of short stories? What is it?
Yeah. There's 14 short stories. They're probably like 20, 30 pages each.
Dope.
And
Are they condensed versions of his
stories? No, they're just his short stories.
Just short
yeah.
stories. I see. Okay.
Cliff Notes versions of other Stephen King stories. But so you are a Stephen King fan, like you.
Very like newly, I suppose. Because
Okay.
I can read. I don't usually read, but I've been kind of getting back into it lately. So after I'd heard that they were doing the remake of it, and I kind of thought about it because I'd never seen the original movie, and I heard amazing things that Tim Curry's like legendary in it and all that kind of stuff. So, and then I actually bought the book on my way to work one day at a Rexall because it was on sale for like $10.
Sweet.
So I was
Rexall, that's where I get all my books. Yeah.
I don't know why. It was on sale.
They sell the
I'm
good
like,
stuff,
okay.
man. It's all the page turners they sell
Exactly.
at pharmacies and stuff like that. In the
At
airports.
the shoppers?
Yeah.
One thing I'm going to throw out there, because I just made the cardinal sin, everybody turn off your goddamn phones and move your goddamn laptops. Because if you heard that sound, that was me, so bad, Justin. My apologies.
My phone's on vibrate.
We're shutting down. Yes.
Taking my vibrating phone off the table.
Excellent. Putting it
That's
in
a
your
good idea.
pants. Okay, here we go. So you're a newly converted Stephen King fan.
Yes, that's the best way to put it.
So is that what you've been reading lately? Mostly Stephen King, or have you been reading anything else? Have you seen any movies that you've liked recently?
No, I have a horrible habit of rewatching things that I've seen a million times.
What did you rewatch?
The Mighty Boosh.
Yes.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a weird ass show. I couldn't get into
The
it.
Mighty Boosh?
The Mighty Boosh.
Are you
Yeah.
sure it's
I've not heard
not
of
The
this.
Mighty Bush?
It's the Mighty Boosh.
Oh, that's too bad.
Not that.
Okay, that's a different movie.
Yeah.
It's the Mighty Boosh.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's a ridiculous show. But no, I also had read oh crap, what's it called? Throne of Glass.
Cool. Yeah. So my wife is actually reading.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. She's super into it. And I think a new book just come out?
I have
She
no
was
idea.
like
I just
raving
started
about
it.
it early. Okay.
I just finished reading the first book maybe last week.
So
Is that a
you
sci-fi
were.
series?
Yes.
That's the first I've really had in that genre. I've never really gotten into like the Game of Thrones or anything like
Okay,
that, or like
sure.
any of that kind of, or like the Hunger Games or anything. So I had a friend recommend that book, and I was like, okay, I'll give it a try.
What did you think of the first book?
I liked it.
Good.
Kinda.
Cool. Yeah. Would you invest more time and read more, or are you gonna switch over to something else?
Well, that's why I switched over to Stephen King again.
I
So
see.
I'm gonna get through those short stories and then maybe jump back onto that one.
Okay.
But we'll see how that
I
goes.
feel like from young adult to Stephen King is like going from a salad to like a
Slaughtering
steak.
the cow
It's like
and eating it raw.
That's right. That's right. All right, so why don't we jump into a little bit of news? I have a couple of items I wanted to bring up. If anybody else has something, you can throw it in.
Give it a go.
First thing I wanted to bring up, and it's something that kind of really struck me when I was reading it. I'm just going to read the headline here. Wonder Woman Gal Gadot backs mocked Sri Lankan cosplayers. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but there were a couple of Sri Lankan cosplayers. There was a Comic-Con, and they did a cosplay for Wonder Woman. It was more than one woman actually, and they were publicly ridiculed, cyberbullied to the point.
Really?
I was trying to get a sample of what was being said about them explicitly, and I don't have that here right now, but they were ridiculed for cyberbullied for just looking ridiculous, and I guess it was racial, and it was really kind of demeaning. And it was pretty upsetting to read about. But then Gal Gadot actually jumped on and said, and told him, and basically said, and Patty Jenkins, both of them, the director of Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman herself, backed them up sort of online. But this whole debacle, I just can't believe people are so awful. It's just so awful. That just because they're from Sri Lanka and their cosplay is pretty good. I was looking at the pictures. Yeah, this is one of the pictures here. She did the
awesome.
shield and everything. I'm there's a lot of detail on the shield
yeah.
there, and this is the other one, and it's just they're pretty good. And I'm are people ridiculing them because they think their
Nothing better to do.
cosplay is bad? It's just an awful situation, and another example of why geek cultures can be toxic sometimes. I was wondering if you guys had any thoughts about that, or silence. Huh.
Just
I got nothing, man.
silence.
I'm looking at some of the pictures and
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it can be toxic. I just think it could be read the wrong way. Some people, I don't know, people in the community sometimes have strong opinions about it has to be a certain way, and people outside of the community just don't think it's cool. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Yeah, you know what? I don't have the examples of the actual comments, but I does anybody have that?
No, man.
It just depends, though. I mean, if people are getting uppity or whatever because it's a race thing, and it's like, oh, Wonder Woman should be white, then that's really stupid. But
They
if
do
they're
that in
again,
movies, though. Like,
Yeah,
people
I
lost their
know.
shit when Michael Clark Duncan was going to play the Kingpin. I was like, dude, why? He's fucking amazing. And I think that the director, whoever it was, granted, the movie wasn't fantastic by any means, but, like, I think he's, like, the Kingpin's this giant, he's the biggest, baddest dude you can think of. So we cast the biggest, baddest actor we could think of. And I'm like, oh, fuck, that's a good line of thinking.
well, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. If people are taking it to a racial thing, that's ridiculous. But if people are just kind of like,
It wasn't
your
a racial
cosplay
thing.
sucks.
Or was it?
Yeah, I'm not sure if there was a racial thing, so I'm just like trying to look it up right now. So it's saying 2 Sri Lankan women found themselves being cyberbullied and body shamed after pictures of them dressed as Wonder Woman went viral.
Is Sri Lankan culture really conservative? I don't know.
That
I don't
might
know
be
why.
it.
All Sri
Negative
Lankan folk I've
reactions.
known, I would say that they were never conservative. I wouldn't say they were crazy, but I would say they were definitely were conservative by any means.
not to an
Yeah.
extreme level at least.
No.
Yeah, you know what? They have examples of like the people backing them up, but they don't have the actual examples of the demeaning tweets. I guess so. I'm not sure if it was racial or if it was body shaming. Either way, like
Yeah,
I think the cosplay is actually pretty good, and it's just I don't know. It's just like Wonder Woman has become such an icon after the film came out, even more so than she already was. That I feel like this kind of thing shouldn't happen. But you know,
don't
it's
ever
the internet.
underestimate the stupidity of other people. That's
Yeah.
gotten people rich, and that saying that I came up with, I think, or I keep saying it because every time I hear something stupid, I'm like, fuck, people are stupid. There's always stupid people out there, and sometimes stupid people are loud.
Well, yeah. I mean, when you're dealing with the numbers that we're dealing with, you know, Earth. So, and they all have a voice
That's
now
what I
with
mean,
the
now they
internet.
have a
Like, there's
voice.
really no way to get around that. I read it and I was kind of like, oh, this is ridiculous. I thought it might be an interesting point to bring up. Any points from Sudip, or is he going to skip this one?
No, sorry, I was just actually trying
Yeah.
to get the whole story, but it just sounds like another, not to say a cliche term, but haters are gonna hate is essentially what this is.
Haters gonna hate.
Yeah, in a more
put.
colorful manner.
Yeah.
And that's what this sounds like. They were excited and they posted photos, and people just found something that they wanted to make fun of or, mock or create
Right.
memes of, and
Yeah.
this kind of shit happens. But it's too bad that they chose to objectify these women in the process.
Yeah.
And it got some publicity, and now you got Gal Gadot to backing them up, and
Yeah.
good for her, good for standing up for these people.
I'll say this, she wasn't much of a star before Wonder Woman. Now it's kind of catapulted her into a place where she is, and she seems like she's taking a stance, not a stance I would say, but
She's vocal.
she's vocal,
Yeah.
in a good way, in a
Oh, yeah.
positive way.
Yeah, I
So,
agree.
Cool.
So another thing I just came across here was, in fact, when she was casted, she was body shamed for not being curvy enough.
Oh, I remember that.
I remember
Yeah.
I had a conversation with somebody
Which
about
is
that at
ridiculous.
Comic-Con when she was cast. I was
Right.
at one of the, I think it was 2014 was the last one I was on. I think that's when she was cast, and everybody was like, she's too skinny,
Skinny, yeah.
she doesn't look like Wonder Woman, they just got this and that. And it's like, well, fuck, give her a minute. If she has to look the way that she has to look, if they want somebody that's a little bit more broad-shouldered as Wonder Woman, she's got 2 months, she's got a year to train before they actually even started filming. They'd already cast her. But the other question you want to ask yourself is, who gives a shit,
Yeah.
right?
And that's my point. There's always some fault for anyone to look for.
Yeah.
And it's not going to make everyone happy.
But then-
somebody's going to find something to complain about.
But here's the other. Then say they cast somebody that's too big, right?
Right.
Then all of a sudden then people are like, oh, why is
not
Wonder
fit
Woman so
enough.
big?
Yeah.
There's always somebody that's going to look at something and be like, I don't like that.
You
There's
can't
no-
please
yeah.
everyone. There's no point in even trying.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
I've seen her in actual interviews. They talk about her breasts not being big enough for the
Yeah.
role. She brings it up because it was such a huge response.
Yeah.
When she was cast, and it's so ridiculous. I cringe. Being a part of that geek community that loves to have things the way they remember them, the way they read them, and but understanding that there's a line, there's like room for interpretation when you adapt something, things change, right?
Yeah, true.
You know, and just like I cringe at that because that is it's a very vocal number of folks, and it is representative. Like, unfortunately, it's the one that gets the press.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, people are outraged at the fact that Wonder Woman's, boobs aren't big enough. And that's what makes, like, the headlines.
And what is big enough? Right? What is big enough?
I mean, that's in the eye of the
make them
beholder.
too big.
Yeah. I
If
mean,
they're too big, it becomes a bigger target. They're going to hit him or hit her.
Hit him.
It'll be too
Yeah.
hit him.
That's right, yeah. But, like, it's
stupid.
It's ridiculous.
Bottom line, it's stupid.
It's ridiculous. So that was one piece. I'm going to move on to the next piece here real quick. A book that I really sincerely love, and if you guys like, Stephen King, especially like books like It or Stand By Me, it's a comic that you guys should definitely read. I think I've told you guys about it before. It's called Lock and Key. It's written by a guy named Joe Hill.
Yeah.
Joe Hill is Stephen King's son. That's his pseudonym, his writing pseudonym. They're actually doing a pilot for Hulu for Lock and Key for a TV show, and it's that's great and wonderful news. And they just cast
Lock and Key. Sorry, I'm writing this down.
Yeah, Lock and Key.
Okay.
And Jackson Robert Scott, who is the kid that plays Georgie in the movie that we just saw.
That kid. Okay, sorry.
He's so
go ahead.
cute.
He's adorable.
He was really good.
He's adorable.
Sorry, go ahead. Lock and Key.
And he's playing the youngest member of the Locke family in this story. This is big. I think this is huge because this kid's really good. And in the book, Joe Hill's really good at writing kids. And we'll get more into this in the bonus round because we didn't really talk about bonus round. I think Lock and Key will probably be it.
Perfect.
Spoiler. But if you guys haven't read Lock and Key yet, definitely read it. It's and we'll talk about it later. But this is mostly about the casting. This kid's really good. Joe Hill writes children really well. And I think Stephen King does as well. He gets kids and the dialogue with children.
True.
So really excited about that. Seeing as how none of you have read Lock and Key, we'll just skip right over that one.
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
That does sound super interesting, though.
There is one thing I wanted to bring up because you've got two avid fucking fans of it here. I don't know about you, and I know you're starting to watch it, but third season so far of Rick and Morty is
my God.
We can't talk about it because I don't think you're caught up.
I've only seen 8 episodes.
Okay.
You're fucking up. You have to finish it.
I know.
I do some of the recent episodes in season 3 have been so good. I've rewatched them a lot. I
That's
just
the
put it on in the
newest season,
background.
right?
Yeah, it's the newest
Yeah.
season,
Okay.
and it's the writing is getting even better. The voice acting's always been good, but it's just everything's
The character development is getting so great too.
It is you're seeing
good.
Progression.
Progression.
Yeah,
you're seeing things that they
absolutely.
brought up, and in
ongoing jokes.
ongoing jokes, but you're seeing some of the things that they brought up in even the first season, and you're seeing it now in some of the characters, and you're like, oh, I see how that shit's starting to connect it with everything. The first season connecting.
the
to
last
it's really
episode
good.
that came out because they didn't have a new episode last weekend because it's Fan Expo long weekend, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
But the episode that they came out with, I guess it's the 5th one, easily is now my new favorite episode.
Sixth.
That was the 6th one.
Yeah, the toxic
Okay, yeah.
one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My new favorite episode
Yeah.
by far.
I think mine. I don't know.
So why do you bring up? Look, I was talking about Lock and Key, but why did you bring up Rick and Morty?
I just thought about it because that's just
Oh,
one
okay.
thing I thought
Okay.
of.
It's-
I thought there was a
No,
Lock
no,
and Key
no, no.
reference. I'm like, what now?
No Lock and Key reference. It's
You
just
should
something
have
I
said there
thought
was so
of.
he'd watch it all.
No, I would. No,
Where is it?
He'll get to it.
I will
for sure.
definitely watch it all.
It's just
I just
something-
saw an episode yesterday. The one with the Rick Association.
The Council of Ricks.
Council of Ricks.
Okay, so the reason I bring that up now, this
Yeah.
this season's time. You remember Evil Morty? This season's sort of kind of getting to not to give anything away, but it's sort of
Eye patch
kind of
Morty, yeah.
it's kind of getting to that. You're
cool.
seeing stuff regarding that because.
Cool. No, it's good. It's nice to know that there is an arc and they do
yeah.
reference old. So it's not just 30-minute episodes. that
But
are
it's
not
cool.
connected.
It's subtle because it's not like they bring back Evil Morty and Evil Morty does something. You're gonna see you'll see once you get to
Alright.
the third season, you're gonna be blown away. I
Got
hope.
it.
So good.
Got it. Okay. The last thing here I had, and I won't spend too much time on it because I know that you guys probably haven't read this, but this is another big piece of news for comic book lovers. There's a book called The Mouse Guard, and it's one that basically anthropomorphic mice.
You've talked about this before, I think.
It's really good. And the art is really good. The writing's really good, but it's sort of it's I don't know if you've ever heard of Redwall or like The Secret of Nim.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Secret of Nim, I've heard.
Yeah. So, but it's definitely a little more adult. But it's really well put together. It's beautifully illustrated, and they're actually going to be making a film, which is going to be my combination live action and CG. And I'm not sure. I don't know how I feel about this, but the Maze Runner director Wes Ball is tapped for live action adaptation. So this is a big thing because I think this would look really nice on the big screen. It's like really cinematic. The book is. That's all I had for news. Oh, one last piece. We talked about this in the car. Now I can't remember Colin Trevorrow.
Right.
Yeah, he was essentially he was supposed to be directing Star Wars Episode 9.
Oh yeah, he got the boot.
Yeah. There was like creative differences, but then there's been news that's been coming out that he's been like really, really difficult to work with. And we talked about last time like small directors getting big jobs, like
Taika Waititi, right?
Taika Waititi.
Yeah.
Jordan Vogt Roberts from like Kings of Summer to King Kong to Kong Skull Island. Trevorrow did what was the name of the movie? No, I've forgotten. Safety Not Guaranteed, which is like a small drama, and then he jumped to Jurassic World, and it's just like these small filmmakers, and then he got tapped to do the Star Wars film, and now like there are all these reports that he's just kind of like an egotistical asshole.
That's all I could think of.
Yeah, kind of, I guess.
Must be basketball.
Right.
Yeah, isn't that?
Play Nintendo.
Cock.
Yeah, so he's gotten the boot, and they're gonna try and fill the director's chair. Here's what my big push is.
Your push that Hollywood's listening to?
Yeah. Kathleen Kennedy from Lucasfilm, if you're listening to this, Gore Verbinski for Star Wars Episode 9, Pirates of the Caribbean, Rango, a couple of other films. The Western with Johnny Depp. No, I've forgotten the name.
The Lone Ranger.
The Lone Ranger, yes, that's right. I think, and he just did recently I've forgotten the title, but he's a very like visual director. I think that he's the one that should be directing this film.
Okay,
him or Brad Bird.
Just throw Brad Bird in there.
Let's throw Brad Bird.
Speaking of directors and all that, because we just saw it, I was told by a friend of mine who was working at a Fan Expo and whatever else, that Stephen King was like so impressed with what the director did for it that he basically wants the same guy to just do the rest of
his
movies.
films.
Yeah.
So to add to that, one thing I forgot to mention about the Hulu pilot for Lock and Key, Muschietti, who directed this film, is actually directing that pilot. So, all making
Pizza
sense.
time.
Pizza
I gotta go
is
get pizza,
here.
guys.
Yeah.
You can start off the next part of the podcast.
Part of the podcast. But yes, Muschietti, he did a movie called Mama. Have you heard of that?
I've heard of it, but I've never watched it.
Have you seen that? You don't really watch horror films, Sudip, do you?
No, I don't.
See, that's the funny thing for me too, is that I don't even really watch horror movies
Oh, really?
that much.
But you're reading, you're consuming
Well,
horror.
Stephen King is a different kind of writer.
Is it?
Too. He's not exactly. It's not horror. You know, like
it's like
it's like thriller / horror, but also
like
a little bit more of like.
psychological
some kind of
as
dark.
Yeah.
I think most horror films have
they
a
have to have
psychological.
that element to it, right?
But the films are visceral, right? So they
Yeah.
have like, there's more visual, there's more shortcuts. I feel like obviously with books like horror books that I've read, you can like really unpack like everything, and it has breathing.
But
we're talking about it.
So
that
here's
is
an
like
example.
that is the prime example of unpacking, because that thing is a cinder block. Of a
Well, yeah.
book,
Have
right?
you read or seen The Green Mile?
I've seen The Green Mile. I've not
And,
read it.
You know, it's actually a very good rendition of the book. They did a really good job.
Really?
I feel. That's one of the, and that's a Stephen King book.
that
It
is
is a Stephen King book,
And it's not a horror book.
Really, it's not a horror book. Stand by Me was another one,
Right.
That was really well done.
Not a horror book.
But The Green Mile is interesting because that director, Frank Darabont, he is the Stephen King adapter, because he did Shawshank Redemption,
Right.
he did The Green Mile,
Yep.
and he did The Mist. So him and Stephen King have like a really good rapport when it comes to him
But notice how
adapting
he
films.
picks movies that are not really truly horror movies.
The
that
Mist
are not
is
your prototypical Stephen
Oh,
King
come on.
books.
The Mist is a horror film.
Okay, yeah.
Come on,
Maybe
that's
maybe
This is
not
a
Have you
the,
read the
solid
book?
horror
maybe
film.
not the
Anyone read The Mist?
No, have you? Okay. Have
She
you seen
just
the movie?
recently did.
Oh, yeah.
right?
I just finished it a couple weeks ago.
So it's a novella, right? It's a short story, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is.
And now they're doing a docu-series on it.
Why that face? Why the face?
I was very disappointed with the book, actually. So, and the reason why I say that is because the movie that, like I said, you just got like stuff.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The movie.
A lot of condensation on my drink going on over here.
Caesar.
Yeah.
Truthfully, my laptop's covered in water and Caesars, so at this
I've
point...
been wiping it with my sleeve. But yeah, no. But with The Mist, I went over to a friend's place and they were watching it, so I caught the very end of the movie. And I was blown away by the ending. I was like, this is amazing. Like,
Oh.
I was like, this is a
Dory.
very morbid ending. I was like, and this is a Stephen King book, so like I saw the ending of it and I was like, yeah, I have to read this book. This is gonna be awesome.
So you saw the film?
I did not
Just
see
the
this. I
end
saw
of
just the
the
very
ending.
end of it.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
I guess like no
I think
spoilers and stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's
Oh yeah,
like-
this is spoiler town.
Yeah, this is well. You can talk about The Mist. That shit's
Okay,
been
so,
out
like,
for
so
a
for
long
one-
time. If
I
you're
guess,
spoiling anything
yeah.
now, it's your fault.
I suppose.
Should have watched it by now.
But yeah, with the ending or whatever, like he shoots his kid and like he shoots the chick in the car or whatever. He tries to kill himself, no dice, and then
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
mi-
the tank
that's
comes
it.
and
The mist leaves, and then he's just like, well, I just killed everyone for nothing.
Yeah.
It's like that's so crazy.
Yeah,
Like
it's
that's
aw-
so
it's-
morbid.
It was an ending where I
It
was
was-
like, I was laughing because I'm like, this is like, were they just sitting
Like-
around just thinking of how could we end this in the most depressing way possible? And
It's
that's
better
like,
than the book. I'll tell you.
I thought it was wonderful.
There was no
I thought the way they
ending
ended
for
it
the
was
book.
crazy.
Essentially, there was no ending for the book.
the story just stops.
He was like writing a letter and was just kind of like, I'm gonna just leave this here and the end. I was like,
sorry, you
Stephen
said
King,
it's
what
a
are you
short
doing?
story, or it's like a...
It's not like one of those like everything's eventual short stories, but
Okay.
it's not as long as it. Let's say.
Yeah. Okay.
It was Bible long.
Yeah.
No, I really liked the ending to The Mist. I thought it was amazing. It blew me, like, it stayed with me after that. I was like, that was fucked up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not in the book.
No, I think that's
There's
powerful. I think
different
stuff
stuff.
like that's pretty powerful.
There's things here. What's in this?
There's things.
I don't know.
There's dipping
Sure.
sauce. There's pizza. There's drinks.
We literally went to like a lunchtime movie without any lunch. So now
Yeah,
we're
everyone's
feasting.
everyone's eating. So apologies for all of the
I'm not apologizing.
eating noises.
No.
Which brings us to it, because there's a lot of eating noises in that movie. So why don't we get started with the boss battle? What do you guys think? Good? Yeah. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is it. Who's ready for a demonic clown hellish hoedown?
Oh god, yeah. Okay, that works. That was one of the best.
That's literally.
fucking hilarious.
That was like, I can't believe they just did that.
Yeah.
Like that was a straight up, a solid hoedown.
It was a
I think
solid hoedown. The best part was his face. He looked
very happy.
His body was really happy to do that hoedown dance, but his face was like
is just dead face. Just
not happy about hoeing down.
Oh wait, was he
like Brian
serious?
Styles every
Dude,
time.
he
Yeah.
wasn't breaking a smile
You
at all.
didn't notice that?
Dude,
I was watching his limbs.
I couldn't.
No, his
I was
face
watching
was
his
just
limbs, but his
angry,
face was just
just saying.
staring, like angry, just like.
You know why? That's probably the 50th take that they had to do, and he's like, "I fucking had it.
Scar says, "My legs hurt, guys. Can we go? This costume's heavy."
I've had it with his hoedown."
Pom poms.
These pom-poms.
Yeah, on the toes. Yeah. So okay, let's jump into this. So we want to start with the non-spoiler portion, I guess. So like general feelings, we're gonna start at this side of the table. Oh. Okay.
Give
Okay.
her, Sam.
Sorry. One last thing, just so everyone understands. Sudip and Sam have read the book relatively recently.
Yeah.
Justin and myself have not read the book, so you're going to get multiple perspectives here. So I think it's going to be interesting. Sorry, go ahead.
So, yeah, I mean, in terms of actually adapting the book to the film, they did not quite stick to the story. And but beyond that, like, I mean, if you're not really going to be looking at that kind of stuff, I enjoyed the movie thoroughly. That was the second time I've seen it, so.
That's interesting. So you went to see it a second time, even though you sound like you were.
Mostly because Justin asked me to come do the podcast too, so I was like, yeah, I'll come watch it, whatever.
Watch it one more time.
Perfect. Okay. Sudip?
I'm still trying to gather my thoughts, really. But I did enjoy the movie, and like you said, like I read the book, and I agree with Sam. It does not. There's quite a few things that. It doesn't skip per se, but it just condenses or chooses to not explain but I don't feel like it really takes away from the movie as well. I think the spirit of the book was there.
Yeah. that I can
The
agree with.
main themes were there. There were some parts of the book that I wish they kept or they'd included in the movie, certainly. But it's always hard to please everyone for sure. And they had 2+ hours to work with, and even then, I felt like it was too short. It didn't feel like a long movie.
So what is the actual runtime of the film? Does anybody know? It was
2
like
hours and 15. I think.
2:15, yeah.
Yeah,
Just
that
over
was
two.
it's a long movie. I was surprised by the length.
So overall impressions, I would say I enjoyed it, and I was telling you earlier, I don't even watch horror movies really. They're just not really my genre, but it was mainly for the book that I really wanted to see this movie, and I think the director did a good job, and hell, even the author agreed, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hold on. We talked about this earlier. It's not your genre, but you read a 1,200-page horror book.
See, and that's what I mean. It's not really a horror book. The movie is.
Okay, I don't know. Well, I mean, it's also like
It's hard
kind
to
of-
explain.
It is hard to explain, and it's also hard to kind of categorize as well in terms of like horror movies, right? And that kind of a genre. I mean, when you're reading something that horror, whatever genre it is, like you get so immersed into it, and it's not like those jump scares. That's not going to happen to you while you're reading, you know.
That's correct.
So it's a totally different feel. And
It's
again,
a slow burn when you're reading it.
Yeah,
You're
and you can't
anticipating
stop.
what's going to happen to the
But
character.
Oh, yeah.
that's what horror is, right? I mean, I guess like the interpretation of that on the screen is real time suspense.
Yeah,
so there's like
yeah,
a
yeah.
difference between the two. Yeah,
That's
I
fair.
agree.
But it was the second time that I've seen it, and I still jumped at every part that I knew there was going to be like a jump. I was
They
like,
got
"Oh,
me. I think there were 2 moments in the movie that got me. We can when we get into the spoiler section.
yeah.
We'll talk about that. But
I managed to stay fairly jump free, actually.
it was all right.
Yeah,
you.
I liked the movie quite a bit. I think it was a little long in certain parts.
Long in the tooth.
Long in the
But-
tooth. Those 2 fucking buck teeth. No, I think that it was kind of long in certain. Like there was parts of the movie I don't think that it needed. We can talk about it later, but overall, man, it was a good looking film. Like that's the thing is I kept on mentally comparing it to the TV series or. What is it? The movie series, the TV movie series, or whatever. And you can't. It doesn't look. Or sorry, it looks way better. They put a whole epic movie budget behind it, and I think they made a really good film. There wasn't a lot of jump scares that got me, if any, but I don't categorize that as a selling point for a film. I don't think
for
they
a
needed
horror
that.
film, though?
No, for a horror film, fuck. I'm
No,
not going.
but I agree with you. I appreciate that they're not just trying to go for gimmicky jump scares all the time.
Exactly.
Not all
It's-
the time,
It's when you
absolutely, but-
anticipate that the scare is coming and then you're on the edge of your seat. I
Yes.
think that's better horror than the gratification you get from having been jumped by this monster just
Something
out of
coming
nowhere.
on the screen really fast and then a big noise being thrown on the screen. That,
agree.
that's a cheap scare, but
I've got huge opinions about jump scares. I think they're just real cheap.
Yeah.
They're not earned. A movie filled with jump scares has no atmosphere.
Well, that's the thing. If it's filled with it, that's one thing. But they always work. that's the thing.
I mean, but here's
Throw
the
it
thing.
in
They
properly,
always.
and it always works.
If we were sitting here right now, someone turned out all of the lights and then made a loud sound, everyone would be scared. If you were watching a video of someone, reading the Bible in a very calm and collected voice, and suddenly a crazy, clown appeared on the screen and there was loud sounds, you'd be terrified. Terrified isn't the word. You're shocked.
You're startled.
There's
Yeah,
a startled.
startled,
That's
that's
the
the
right word, right? So jump scares in and of themselves are not hard to do because things changing suddenly is shocking and startling to anybody. The key is building the atmosphere to make a jump scare not only startling but also like effective or will last longer than the moment that it is on screen.
yeah. And I didn't feel like they did that once in this film.
Really?
No,
Okay,
I really didn't.
okay.
There wasn't any. Like I said, I am susceptible to jump scares. Maybe less so than some others, but I still jump scare. A good jump scare will get me, and then after I'm like, ugh. But this one didn't get me. But there were times that I was startled. See, that's the
Really?
thing.
Okay. So
I can be startled by something, but at the same time, that you don't get that jump out of your seat jump scare shit, right? So there was a lot of like well-earned moments of startlement for me.
Yeah.
If startlement's actually a word, but that's kind of like
Startlement.
Startlement.
Yeah.
If it isn't, Webster's get in touch. We'll talk.
That's right. That's right.
Sell you startlement for a good fee. So yeah, that's my feelings on it, man. Positive.
Yeah, same here. I enjoyed it. I'm somewhere in between. Like, as a kid, I read like maybe the first quarter of the book.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And it was a long time ago, in like the early '90s, when I was like, oh yeah, this book's supposed to be really scary. I read the first, you know, I don't even think it was a quarter. I didn't get very much past Georgie's death scene in the book, because that literally scared the shit out of me. I was like, nope, can't do it. Game over. And then, of course, I watched the miniseries at a very sort of malleable age, so to speak, so it stuck with me. It's right up, you know, It and, like, you know, Michael Jackson's Thriller, two really terrifying experiences for me as a kid. But I read a lot about the book. Like, I've read, you know, like, I know so much about the book just from speaking with people. So I've not read it, and I don't think I'm going to read it because I'm a very slow reader, and reading that is like a 6-month like time sink. And I know enough about it that I'm not going to get a whole lot out of it, but I will read other Stephen King books that I know less about. So I'm sort of somewhere in between. I did enjoy it. I know there's stuff in the book that wasn't in the movie.
And vice versa.
That's right. I guess they added some stuff. But one of the things that was more concerning to me, I did enjoy it. I think it had moments. It definitely had jump scare moments that got me. Is the CG element? They kind of pushed that a little too much.
There was a couple of shots that I was just like, no.
He couldn't.
And it was right there was one at the beginning of the movie when he actually goes after Georgie.
Yeah.
There was one particular shot in that thing,
okay.
and I was just like, no, that's not good. It looked horrible. It was like that time we were watching the Alien vs. Predator trailer, and we were watching something like, that can't be it.
You know, that
was it. It was that horrible moment when the Predator turns around and hits or cuts the alien's tail off.
Yeah.
There was a moment of that like this, because if I saw that exact shot in the trailer, I'd be like, that's not the final shot.
There's got to be more to it.
It didn't look right.
Yeah.
So wait, you're saying that there was a scene, or like a shot in that scene that was in the trailer?
No. I'm saying that if I would have seen that in the trailer,
yeah,
I'd been like, well, they just rushed that shot out the door. They're gonna fix it up a little bit.
Yeah. So it looked like a rush shot, I guess is what he's saying.
Not a finished product.
Reload me.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sorry, we're all getting slices of pizza now.
Here, do you want to just like?
What pizza do we got today? We've got chorizo. One of the pizzas is chorizo, Portuguese chorizo, spinach and peppers, and we got onions, chicken, and red peppers on the other one. So we're.
Eat the crust first.
What kind of monster are you,
guys? Listen.
Actually, no. Wait, I did this when I was in Arizona, because
the
pizza that the customer got for one of the days was like the slices were like fucking like rulers. They were like 12 inches long. Yeah. So I couldn't hold it up and eat it because the front would just flop down.
That's why you fold it.
No, I couldn't do that. I was in front of people.
No, but
you in front of people. Oh, what a social sin,
dude!
What a social sin to fold your pizza.
If it was in front of you guys, I would have rolled it into a ball and eaten it like an apple. But I was
soak it in water and just down your throat.
Don't tell people how we live.
Do you want to tell that story?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, this has nothing to do with it, but this is just a good story.
Go for it.
It really is. This was like, I was in grade 8, I guess, because that was when Marianne, our neighbor, first moved to our street. And she'd come over for pretty much the first time to hang out. And both the brothers were there with a bunch of their friends and whatnot or whatever. We're all hanging out in the kitchen. We tried to make a frozen pizza. And what had happened was the pizza got completely burnt on the outside. And it was completely raw on the inside. So Justin took it and just melded it into a ball and went to the back door and just shot put it as far as he could into the hydro field.
Brilliant.
And then he turns to my friend and he goes, "Don't tell people how we live." And that's her first impression of hanging out at the park.
That's literally the first time she ever came to our house. She got to see me throw it into the...
I'm sorry, I don't understand why you didn't just cut that part out.
What the? No, it was the whole pizza. It was the whole
no,
pizza.
the entire pizza.
Raw on the inside, burnt on the outside.
But then why not cut that out and cook it again?
That was a lot of work. That was a better
Here's
idea.
the thing. There are probably a lot of different ways to handle that situation.
I just don't see you where rolling it into a ball and shot putting it.
But
the first solution that comes to your mind.
But here's the thing. None of the other solutions, though, left as big of an impact on Marianne. She didn't fuck around in our house anymore after that. She knew where she was.
Oh my god.
She got balled up and thrown into the hydro field.
Do you want pizza? No, please no.
For the love of God, no.
Why didn't you fold it in half? I was with people. Like,
No, Because the thing is, man, if you fold a pizza in half, you are straight up savage mode. That's like you were trying to shovel that shit in your mouth as fast as you can, which for me is totally that's what happens. But I was in front of customers, man. I had to do this as sensibly and as elegantly as I could, without going to fork and knife. Because if you eat your fucking pizza with a fork and knife, you're a fucking loser. And I'm pointing at the mic when I'm saying this.
You're pointing at, apologies to all of our audience of 6 who eats their pizza with a knife.
I'm not apologizing to you. Uthel's apologizing. No apologies for me.
Last time, I mean, our audience is growing in my head.
Yeah.
So I'm speaking to 6 people instead of 3.
We've also got a live viewer right now, or a live listener. My wife is just walking up the stairs after stealing some of the pizza. I.e. the pizza that she ordered. Love you.
Good save.
Good save. So, sorry, back to it. And one quick thing. I eat my pizza. This is how this started.
Oh my God.
I go from both ends because I can't eat the crust on its own. I need a little crust and a little cheese. So I eat it at both ends.
But that's what dipping sauces are for.
I don't like me some dipping sauce. I'm like, okay, you know what? I go to the school of Pennywise.
You're a monster.
He takes a bite out of the head, takes a bite out of the feet, and then he ends, at the waist.
And then he plays with the arms.
Yeah, that's right.
That was
He does play with the arms. Okay, so back to it. General feelings positive. Again, the CG moments, the balloons.
For the most part, CG was good though.
Yeah, it was good, but the balloons bugged me. Not all of them. Like the one the one floating in the sewer.
That's what I heard, Gary.
Yeah. I'm like, man, that looks like a PlayStation 1 like cinematic graphic. I know what they were going for there, but like I just
didn't look right.
It didn't look right, and you could
Really?
have somebody off camera like holding. No, you know what? I'm not a filmmaker. I'm not even going to suggest that. It just didn't look. It didn't look convincing enough. I do, in even the paper boat at the beginning, there were some shots where it just didn't. It was definitely CG. Like they didn't set that whole shot up. It was. But other than that, I'm nitpicking because some of the makeup. That's what I do. But some of the digital makeup effects. So like they did when it gets hurt.
Yeah.
I'm not ruining anything there, but like there's certain like makeup effects they do on Sarsgaard's like traditional makeup that actually enhance it, and it's really, really nice, really well done. They obviously spent a lot of time on that, so that was really good. It's just the odd thing, like they did this sort of like vibrating background thing sometimes. When he's
I'd seen that a couple.
And that's in the trailer too. When the hoedown happens, there's this. Everyone's excited, including the background. It's like, right? But like they do this like. It's like he's altering reality, like when he's like moving at a supernatural speed. I like the idea, but the execution left a little to be desired. I thought it was a little too computer-y. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I enjoyed the film. And the gore moments were really good too. Like there was some, that first scene was. They went for it.
They did a really good job setting up that relationship. The first movie, I didn't give a fuck about Georgie. Like, I couldn't care less.
Oh, sure. Yeah. They spent a good, the credits.
They spent a considerable amount of time building up a relationship with this character that we just met for the first time. But I cared, I cared right away about Georgie. I mean, Georgie's really the catalyst of the film, right?
Yes.
That's where it all kind of kicks off.
Yeah. The conversation between...
He is so cute.
He is adorable. He's adorable. The conversation between Pennywise and Georgie was really well done.
Yes.
I thought, if the clown's too scary, Georgie will never be... he's not going to be a part of this. But he was actually kind of energetic and
that's the whole
fun.
point.
Yeah, and it was well done. Like, it wasn't like... I could see how... this setup could happen and how that conversation can happen. It seemed very natural, and he seems very talkative, like the clown and stuff like that. But also unsettling at the same time, but manages to straddle that line. So, Sarsgaard was amazing. I thought the kids were all really, really good.
Yeah. There was one kid. I'm trying to remember what the kid's name was. He was the Jewish character. Stan. For most of the film, he was horrible. Yeah. They were just cardboard, boring. Just every time he delivered a line, I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
You're the worst.
But then he also has the best performance of them in one scene by far. Yeah. When he's terrified.
When he's scared,
When he's scared, holy God, that was believable. Like I was deep into that scene. But everything else, the kid just didn't seem credible. He didn't seem there.
I agree. I think he's probably the weakest of the bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You look like you sound and look like you're holding something back.
I am, but I'll save it.
Yeah, there's a reason why he's the weakest of the bunch.
Yeah.
Okay.
But having said that, I do agree with the portrayal was also
Didn't
weak.
convey that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The
it
portrayal
was, for
itself.
sure.
Okay.
They almost relegated his character to the background at some points where
Pretty
he
much.
just was like,
Like,
he's part of the losers, but he's not really an important loser.
I think literally he's in the background of every loser's shot.
Yeah.
There's like he's just standing in the background.
standing in the
Like,
background.
so.
The same thing with Mike Hanlon
Yeah,
as well.
that was
Which one was
another-
Mike? The
The,
talkie, the
The
chatty
shoot,
one.
the gun kid, the one with where his parents burned.
Oh yes, where did he go? Where did he go for half the movie? Like he kind of like
he didn't come in until halfway through the movie.
Well, they showed him in the beginning, and then
Right.
then it wasn't until later when he gets jumped by the kids and they rescue him, and then have the big.
That was
Okay.
That's for later. That's for later.
it's for later. Yes.
So I think generally it's positive, but we're gonna get a couple of diverging opinions when we jump into the spoilers.
Yeah.
I think we should just jump straight into the spoilers.
There's
No bonus round.
No bonus round this
Okay,
time. We're a little
fine.
time constrained this time, and I
Lock
think
and key. Read it. Everybody should read it.
Yes,
and we should do a
I already
podcast
wrote that
on it.
down.
It's
I'm
going
amazing.
to.
It's very, very good.
you know what you should do? Do a full side quest on it.
That's what I was thinking. If you guys read it, we could do.
We could even do a whole podcast on it.
No, we could do a side. Whatever. Doesn't
Either way.
matter.
I'd like to read it though. I'm gonna
Absolutely.
I'm gonna look for it for sure.
Yeah.
No,
I
it's
have
very,
it.
very good. It's definitely in the same vein. And Gabriel Rodriguez, I think that's the name of the artist. Art is fantastic. The writing's fantastic. It's a great horror comic. A great example of how horror can be more than just jump scares and.
It's like 6 parts.
I think there's six big trades, but I think there may be maybe 9 trades. I gotta look it up. But if you guys want it, I have it. I can lend it to you. You guys
You've
should
already
read
lent
it.
it to me.
I may have done that already. You should start reading my recommendations, you asshole. Anyway, all right.
A big list.
Take it off
Yeah,
your
it
hands
is.
if you want.
Okay. Into the spoilers.
Yeah.
So first things first. I love when studios do the logos at the beginning, and I think we talked about this. Or they do the logos at the beginning, and they change the logos for the film.
Ever so slightly.
Yeah, a little slightly. So, for example,
Dark Tower.
what was it? Like Dark Tower did that. What did they? I can't even remember what they did.
Turtle.
The turtle. They have the Tech Corporation comes up at the beginning. And this one, the New Line Cinema logo comes up, and like a red balloon, like floats through the thing. And this all started I think before Blade, like the original Blade.
Yeah.
Like this New Line Cinema logo was all red instead of blue, and that was a big change. The Matrix changed everything to green.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the Warner Brothers logo. They would do stuff like the Transformers Paramount thing. As the Transformers sound coming as the stars pass the screen, stuff like that. I love that stuff. And they do it here, and they do it really well. I thought that was great. It was really subtle.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, while that was happening, 2 assholes were trying to find their seats
Fucking pricks.
in the theater.
I was not happy about
It was
that.
incredible. They were trying to find their seats in the
With
theater.
flashlights on their phone.
Flashes
It's not like
on
it
their
was assigned
phones.
seating. I don't understand why
Yo,
they needed their flashlight.
Flashes on their phones. Both of them had flashes. There were 2.
Two of them were.
I've
It
seen
was
people do
insane.
it where they just kind of pointed at the ground and they're trying to find their friends or something. Okay, I got a little bit more, but they were pointing it up at the crowd. I was like, after a while, I said something. I was
Yeah.
like, you need to turn that shit off
Yeah,
or something. I can't
Well,
remember.
it's true.
I tried to sound as polite as possible, but I think I said something like,
Can you turn that
Turn
off,
it
please?
off.
yeah,
You're
in an
polite.
imposing sound.
Yeah, it was brutal. There may be some reason why they had to do that, but honestly, if you feel like you have to do that, then just don't come late.
Don't
Like
come late.
don't
First of
show
all.
up to the show late.
And
Yeah.
second of all, people were people are totally capable of finding their own seats before flashlights
Yeah,
on cell phones
that's
were
true.
invented.
That's right. They have the guided lighting.
Yeah.
So anyway, so while that was happening, anyway. So the logos come up. There's a scene between Georgie and Bill. Am I getting the name right?
Yeah.
Bill.
Yeah.
The brother, yeah.
Big Bill.
This is a great lead up. I thought this whole intro scene was like a really
It was
great
perfect.
lead up.
For
to-
me, it was perfect.
What did you guys think? I mean, this is a big moment in the book too. It's like the one that typically, like in the miniseries, focused on. It's the big intro for the.
That's how the book begins, as far as I remember.
Yeah. The
And
tone
you-
of it was a little different in the book, but like that's nitpicking like crazy because like Bill was kind of like irritated because Georgie was all like, "Come play with me," and he was like, it wasn't as like brotherly love, like just the
But no, that's an important point because afterwards, Bill regrets being so short with him,
well, yeah. Actually, you're right.
Yeah.
That is true.
and
So
because he never
they
sees
did.
him again.
Yeah,
Right.
they had a different tone to that in, like relationship or whatever in general. Their parents weren't included very much other than the dad
Yeah.
You mean in the film or in the books?
in the film.
In the film.
In the film.
His mom is just shown playing the piano, and that was it.
Oh,
Which,
I thought
by
that
the
was
way,
really funny.
I started
actually kind of
laughing because I was like, it's so fucking creepy. Like, what are you doing? The whole house, all of the lights are off, and then the mother's playing like the most dreary, creepy song
Oh, yeah,
you could,
yeah.
and doesn't
It's
even
like
look
a
at her
lullaby.
child. It wasn't even a lullaby. It was
was
something
one of the
bad is going to
No,
happen. That
it
was
was
actually the
menacing.
title.
Yeah.
It was a score at the time, and it was very ominous.
Yeah.
It was, but that was the funny part because like you don't know that until Georgie comes down the stairs.
Yeah.
So you just think it's the score for the film, and they're leading up.
Yeah,
he
yeah,
comes
and
down
then
the stairs,
it's
and then you see the mom
mom.
playing on the piano. I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
Like,
So there was also a huge, I don't know, but their time was completely off. When they were kids, it was set in the 50s, was it not?
Oh, true. Well,
Versus
that,
being I know, again, it's nitpicking or whatever, but like when they're kids, it's in the 80s. It's like that doesn't.
yeah. So they did that. I think the reason they did that.
There,
that was a
okay,
big-
if there's a reason for it.
Yeah, is because people who are going to be watching this movie now, they're 30 something, 40 something, they're going to remember the 80s.
Yeah, I suppose. Okay.
So when
that
he
makes it
wrote-
more relatable.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
it makes it more
That's true.
relatable. I think that they made a good decision in that regard because
okay.
we are the actual target audience,
Yeah.
right? We and maybe people like maybe 5-6 years older than us,
Older,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
But I don't have any qualms about the
I wonder
time,
if that would
actually.
have. Yeah, I don't think that it would have made that much of a difference, but it was something that I noticed the second time around. I didn't notice it the first time when I was watching it.
You know why I loved it? Because Batman and Lethal Weapon 2 were both playing at
That's
the
right.
theater.
I
in
noticed
town. I saw that. I'm like, yes, look at that shit.
nice.
It's amazing.
But
80.
Yeah.
more spoilers and things that I was displeased about at least was that they messed around in the ways that the kids saw Pennywise.
Oh, like
And,
down
like, the
later in the
different
film?
forms.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's jump
versus
into that
the
in one quick
Yeah.
second. So this conversation between Georgie and Pennywise, really, really well done. I thought it was like really creepy. The whole, what did you think of the disjointed mouth sort of Reaper thing he had going on with
That was the
them?
shot I was talking about. Not the lead up to it was okay, but the bite when he bit his arm, that looked weird.
Really?
Like it
It
kind
did.
of it once
Like a
he
jump cut.
once he bit him, it was like the frame was on like it was like the frame froze for like
For a
2 or
sec.
3 frames.
Yeah.
And it just like it
saw that.
similar
It
to kind
lingered
of
on it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it lingered
yeah.
on it, but like nothing else was moving. If he was like wriggling or trying to like pull him in or something, then it would have looked fine. But it was
Just
like
kind
he
of like-
bit him and then it like a freeze
Stayed
frame for like
there.
2 or 3 frames. It was very, very minor, but I'm stuff like
Yeah,
that I
no.
can see. I'll
Yeah, that's
nitpick
right.
about that a little bit. But the scene itself, fuck man.
was
Oh,
good.
really
It was-
good.
Yeah.
Really good. Like, really, the dialogue was really good. Because, like, I was always concerned with the fact that if this clown is so scary, which, I mean, he's pretty creepy looking, why would anybody get near him?
Well, but you saw the old one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the whole point is that he's scary as hell, but he's like calming enough or whatever to lure the kids in,
Yeah,
right? So he
that's
has to have that element of like
Relatability,
What's the word I'm
fun.
looking for?
But did
Fun,
you notice?
Yeah.
Did you notice his eyes changed?
Yes, that
So
was
they were blue at the
awesome.
beginning of it. When he's talking to Georgie,
They
he's a
changed color.
friendly clown.
Yeah,
he's,
yeah.
He's inviting. He's got a balloon. So
He doesn't have the balloon.
He doesn't have a balloon.
doesn't
and,
have
and,
it.
and
Yeah,
that's
that's
what I
the
don't
thing.
understand. Is
Yeah.
why did that's how he pulls Georgie to. It's not the boat. It's that look, Georgie, I have a balloon, and Georgie asks him in the book, does it float? That's where it comes from.
That's where and
But
you'll
the
float.
float
They
part
really-
comes from that.
they
It's like, and he
really-
says yes, it floats. He's like, okay, I'd like to have it, and he reaches for that, and that's when he pulls his arm off.
We'll get to this, but they really took that float symbol, very literally.
Yeah.
Later in the film, which I didn't mind. I actually kind of liked how it all tied together.
I kind of just went,
I don't remember.
oh, they're floating. That's literally what I
They
said.
float too. He wasn't lying.
That's literally what I said in my head. I went, they're floating. Like it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, fuck, I don't know.
So anyway,
so
overall, like that scene
That scene-
sounds like it was well received by everybody. Right?
Yeah, I think
Yes.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it sets the
absolutely.
tone. It's like, okay, there's this clown.
It sets
he
the tone,
lures
yeah.
people.
Yeah.
But then in the end, he's not that friendly.
And one thing that was cool too. So in the trailer, it was when I saw the trailer, I wasn't convinced because like he was very creepy in that he's like, take it. It was like, who the fuck is gonna get close to that? He's like, nope, I'm good. You can hop onto this boat. I'm going back to Stuttering Bill.
Yeah.
But in this,
Yeah,
like,
it was great.
it was a much more expanded scene, and it was so much better than the
Well
trailer
worth
gave
the
it credit for. Oh,
Yeah.
for sure,
And
sure.
He's almost hypnotic in that sense. Like he draws
Yeah.
you in, and that's it. It doesn't matter if his voices change for not too late, you're drawn to whatever he's
Oh
offering
yeah,
you at that
exactly.
point.
No, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
The voice changes, the mannerisms change, and the eye color
color
changes.
The eye color
Yeah,
was
So
really
I thought that was a very nice addition to visually show when he's
Showing his true colors.
Yeah.
Oh, like
so to speak.
then there was the scene of when Bill went down to the basement and like saw Georgie and like it was flooded. Don't think that happens in the book.
No.
No?
Just making sure.
Right.
But that scene was kind of cool though, like just how he like comes up from the water, like throws Georgie down. And
Because he's
cool.
like puppeteering.
yeah, and then he just
Literally
throws him
puppeting
down.
him.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Well, I was telling you Atul earlier, that's one of the big differences is in the book they actually show a lot more murders, or they discuss a lot more murders of kids getting killed by it, and they go into graphic detail about them. And these kids eventually wash up and are found with
Yeah.
missing body parts, or they're just
That is true.
So there's a
But-
whole aspect of
Which I would think they would go that route, the missing route, if they didn't want to show violence on children. Fine. But they didn't. They showed a lot.
Yeah.
Georgie got his fucking arm ripped off. I was like, holy crap.
About it
they're
though,
trying to
really.
do.
Like, you
But
know,
and that was it, really.
That was really
and,
it.
And who was the other kid?
Ben, the fat one.
No, the other one who dies in the sewers.
Hoxton.
Oh,
Patrick.
Patrick.
Patrick, yeah. And-
So I guess
which they don't
what they're
show how
trying
he
to
dies
do,
exactly.
just given my knowledge of the book or whatever. So, I think what they're trying to do is like, okay, how can you? I've got Stephen King has 1,200 pages to tell you all kinds of horrific details. I think what they're challenged with is, okay, I need to make sure that every detail in the story comes back to the story. Has to, right? So it's like, okay, if I can I don't have to discuss the murders of the other kids. I don't need to. Let's focus on the stuff. They focus a lot on the kids. And I think the part of the problem with the film is that it feels like a series of vignettes, like little short films for each kid.
Yeah.
It's like this kid, okay, is going to be scared by the clown in some weird and strange way. It almost lives as a short film. You can show that 4 minutes or 5 minutes on its own as a short film.
Yeah.
And I feel like they weren't connected enough as it was doing, because it was very systematic. It was like doing all of the kids
You
sort
know
of
what?
one after the other.
That's kind of how the book is structured, though, for the most part. Like each chapter is more or less like from each
How they
kid's
see Pennywise.
Exactly,
and the
right?
children.
Perspective, what their experiences are.
At
But
that
that's
time.
that's their bonding experience too. Is that for a long time it kind of hovers where every kid has had their own Pennywise experience,
yeah.
but they don't want to talk
Talk
about it
about it
because
because
they
they
think
think
they're
they're nuts.
crazy.
Yeah.
Right. But eventually something happens and it brings them all together.
But that's the thing. There was there were other things that I noticed that were just totally off. Like the fact that Ben had all the history of Derry. That wasn't right? That was all Mike Hanlon, was it not? In the book?
Partially, yeah, because he works at the library.
Ben, yeah, okay, Ben for sure, but he
Mike
wasn't.
Hanlon gets the story of the burn. The whole fire. From his dad. Yeah, who
That's what I
actually
thought,
is
yeah.
alive in the book.
Yeah, so that whole I didn't really understand what they were trying to do there, to be honest. With all that.
I think they just had to consolidate it into the one guy who's interested in the
I
history,
suppose,
right?
but it's
Because you're like, this runtime is so short.
But then again, it goes back to also like adding things that weren't in the book, like the entire scene with them in the garage and the slides, not a thing. And I feel like they were trying to use that as the adaptation for and like to compensate for Georgie's photo album, right? Like he comes through
In
the
a way,
pages and
yeah.
whatever.
But that's actually Bill's experience, because
Yeah.
everyone has their near-death experience. Bill's experience was that.
and then the parents came in and they're like, what the fuck, told you not to be in here, blah blah blah, whatever. So that whole thing with Georgie in the basement didn't happen.
I liked it a lot, though.
It was
I
a
liked
cool
that
scene.
lot.
I agree, it was a really cool scene, but then it's also like it was also one of the other reasons why the Losers Club became the Losers Club and they all bonded over Pennywise is because Bill showed
it to Richie. Yeah.
and was able to see the pictures were moving and all that stuff. Like the Tim Curry one, when that whole thing happened and his handcuffs, perfect.
But
Right.
they used anyway, are we going
So yeah, so let's
Sorry,
let's not jump ahead.
So after the scene, after that scene, I'm trying to remember. Basically, they skip ahead, and I don't know. Did they show a date, like how long Georgie's been missing?
A year. I think it was
Was
about
it a year?
It was 88.
Was it a year?
It was
Okay.
88,
And then
and then it was
89.
89.
'Cause, like,
the number
you know-
of months, I don't know. It
you
was
know how
probably
I-
within a year.
I feel like I knew that
Like 9
because
months.
I saw the Batman sign on the thing, and I'm like, that came out in '89.
Yeah.
Come on,
Come on, guys.
I'm like, oh, a year's gone by. Oh, right. the title card didn't give it to me. The title of a movie in the fake, in a fake theater.
Yeah.
Gave it to me.
No, I think you're right. I think it begins like in October or so.
Yeah.
If I remember
And
correctly.
then I think it was
summer.
September. No, it wasn't
And then-
September. Yeah, it was summer. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, they
and
go
then
for
end
summer.
of school, summer
Yeah.
begins.
Yeah. Fall 88, summer 89.
So you get introduced to these kids who are throwing their books out in the trash.
That was
That was
That's
awesome.
not a thing.
I literally
That is
said
not-
that's not very forward thinking. You might need those math problems later in the next grade.
That is not a thing.
I kept that shit for my siblings.
Keep the
That's
answers
not
and
a
test
thing.
answers.
They just threw all that stuff. I'm like, wow.
All that money on those
don't
binders.
You return textbooks
I'm like,
to
you buy a
If you're
binder.
in a public high school, don't you return them? Or a public school?
Yeah, exactly.
Or like you get those aren't like disposable binders. Like
No.
one like who
Recycle.
are you kids?
Who are you kidding?
What the fuck? One scene that I do remember for being the most off-putting and upsetting was none of the horror scenes. It was the scene where Beth, or is that her name?
Beverly. With your dad.
Gets garbage water dumped on her in the
You were
stall.
losing it there.
I was just like, because like when they dump it, it's like there's like chunks of like there's like banana peels and shit in there, and I could smell it. Like I was just like I was literally gonna throw up.
Yeah, you were
I
going
was like,
bananas there. You're like, oh my god, oh my god.
I actually farted
So
at
it
that
was a
exact
good-
same time.
Jeez,
Sorry, man.
that's what did it.
That makes a perfect horror movie.
Smell-o-vision.
Smell of 4K. Or no, 4D.
4D smell-o-vision.
Oh.
That
That
was
wasn't
like
D-box.
that's what got me. Like I was literally sick when I saw
That was that was gross. That was gross.
Georgie getting his arm ripped off, no big deal. But getting dumped with garbage water, that was disgusting. Anyway, so these kids go, throw out all of their books and binders and shit because they're rich,
Yeah.
and they show the relationship between them and then the Bowers gang. Like, so what did you guys think of the Bowers gang?
Horrible.
Since they're okay.
Sorry.
All right.
No, it all in all, I think Bowers, the whole team there and all that jazz was
The team, the Justice League of Bowers. They're
of bullying.
Of bullying, yeah.
No, they did all right with that, but they were definitely missing some elements, and I don't understand how he fell in the well and all that stuff.
Fell in the well.
Near the end, when
Yeah, he
he
gets
was
pushed-
trying to,
he
he
pushed
get
it.
Oh.
Mike. I
Mike-
know that, but he's supposed. I can say things, right? It's
He's
spoilers time.
supposed
It's
to
fine.
come back in the
He's
next-
supposed to be in the second movie. He comes back as adults.
He's in the well, so I guess if
They're
they
gonna
bring him
back, I
they won't
suppose.
have him in the same capacity. It won't be the same capacity as the book. He might be something that Pennywise just
no, I mean, I guess
reanimates. I don't know.
it's just watching that fall. You go in there thinking like, oh, he's fucking dead, but that's probably what they're trying to do, right?
Yeah.
So then you can bring him back. In the
That
next
was a
one.
brutal fall.
That
It was a long way.
but
It
but
wasn't straight down. It was bang,
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 bang.
bang.
but that also didn't happen in the book. So because he
That's right.
chased them while they were kids, right? Like the first time around, didn't he? Bowers.
He does a lot of things.
Yeah, he does a lot of things. Isn't he kind of
In the
like
book?
he's like a rapey?
He's
There was,
He's a homosexual in the book, isn't he?
There was a time.
I thought.
in
So
the
I
book,
thought
yeah.
I thought he
Pretty
was
much
like he was
everything
like a rapey-
sexual was eliminated from the movie.
Yeah,
Right.
so,
yeah.
yeah.
So-
well, not everything. I think
Yes.
Bev's father,
Father.
You know what?
aspect is still there.
But I mean,
But
between
even
the kids.
between the kids, yeah.
sure.
But even with Bev and her dad, I feel like they made her dad way more rapey in the movie than he was
Really,
in the book. Yeah.
I was about to.
he beat
I'm
on
like,
he beat
if
on
he-
her a lot. Like
Yeah.
he would beat her senseless. But the whole
it wasn't rapey in the.
Yeah.
No, so
right?
it kind of no, you're right. He would beat her, but there was a sense of foreboding that eventually this is going to lead to rape, and she needed to get out of there
I
before
see.
Yeah.
it did.
I see. Okay.
That's why. In fact, I think there's a scene where she has a period, and she's like, "Oh crap, my dad's gonna find out that I'm getting my period, so I'm
Yeah.
like a woman now."
Yeah.
yeah,
And,
and that's why she was like he
Hey,
grabbed
but
her hair and
they
everything.
did that in the movie.
Kind
Yeah.
of.
Yeah,
They-
like,
yeah.
she was hiding it. She didn't want him to know. She didn't want anybody to know. But you can tell that was there was. I
There
think
was a
they did
thing.
that sort of tastefully, but at the end they full throttle that whole thing. But
She kicked ass.
yeah, she didn't kick him in the ass. She kicked him right in the nuts.
Yeah.
Another scene I was very uncomfortable watching when she
Well,
smokes him in the balls. I'm
Kicks
like,
him in
"Oh."
the face.
Yeah,
So
but not
good.
even that. There's
But then
there's
he
like
gets
2
up.
seconds. She smokes him in the nuts, and he's just standing there like this. I'm like, oh, he can't move. Like I wasn't gonna be like the poor guy can't. He 100% deserved what he got, but I was just like that moment where he gets kicked in the nuts. I was just like, ugh.
It was pretty savage. He got it.
He
He got what he deserved.
But
He got what he deserved.
But then he just walks it off like a champ later. Fuck.
Yeah, he
Anyway.
walks to the
But you know
bathroom
what?
like it was nothing.
Continuity.
What?
Not a thing.
There was a lot of there was that, and then the other offsetting kind of like rapey, horrible vibe with
The pharmacist.
in the pharmacy.
Oh
my
I
god!
love that scene.
That was also different
that was
in the book.
perfect casting
Oh,
for
I
the
love
most creepy, skin crawling person you could find.
But he wasn't.
So good. He was. I can't even tell you like. When he auditioned for that, I feel like he's just gonna be pigeonholed into rapey pharmacist like roles
Forever?
for the rest of his life. I was just like, oh, this guy is so perfect. Like you don't need to know anything about him.
No,
like
he's
this is it.
Off-putting.
And he's like, you look like Lois Lane, and I was like, like, oh my god, this is crazy.
It's not good.
No, you don't. No, you don't. That whole scene was different too. The pharmacist didn't have a daughter like that stupid bully chick. I don't
Was
think
she?
she
Was
was.
she? I didn't even think she was. I didn't even make that connection in the movie.
Well, yeah,
That was the
she was
same
sitting
girl
behind
beginning.
the.
She was sitting behind the. Now I'm making that connection,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like
So-
as in the film, I wasn't like, oh, they must be related. or
But in the book, though, so what had happened in the book? I just want to get this out real fast with that scene.
Sure.
How she goes, oh, you know they're all gazebos. Sorry, that was hilarious.
That was pretty funny.
They're
So
gazebos.
funny. So funny. Yeah.
But when she goes off and oh, they're all placebos, blah blah blah. In the book, it's the pharmacist that pulls Eddie into the into his office and was just like, yeah, this shit's all placebos, blah blah blah. And Eddie didn't believe him, right? And he was
He kind of
just,
storms off.
So
he storms off and then like still gets mad at his mom or whatever, but like he continues to take his medication.
Right. So the pharmacist isn't like a cliched rapey.
No. He's actually a nice guy.
He's
in the
very
book.
nice. He like gave him a milkshake and stuff.
I'm really,
in the
I'm
book.
really surprised to hear this because a lot of Stephen King books and adaptations, they include sexual assault, like rapey sort of creeps.
Yeah.
So
For you to tell me that the dad wasn't as rapey in the book as he
but
was in the film,
there are other characters.
no, I
that
know.
you haven't
I
met
feel like
yet.
they took.
Well, yeah, that too, right?
They took, and then like this pharmacist is not only is he not rapey in the book, he's actually like a nice guy. I'm like,
guy.
wow, they added rapiness to this
They
story. But I feel like you said, there are other characters that they must have been trying to get that creepiness factor in, but bleed it into a number of characters that they could have screen time in the film, right? So maybe that's what they were doing. I know that like the leper, for example, was
He
just
would.
like a
He should have been
freak.
more rapey, if anything.
He did,
They,
like,
they
he
should have
was,
taken the
yelling,
rapey
like-
from the dad and
So-
put it onto the leper.
He was like yelling,
honestly.
yeah, when he's chasing the kid.
The
he's
leper
like,
was kind of random. Like he was just kind of rambling, and
Yeah.
he's a dirty looking leper.
Yeah.
In the book, it's
not that
actually
we have anything against
In the book,
lepers.
it's fucked.
no. In the book, it's really fucked. He's actually a homeless guy.
He's a real dude. So
Who's
this
supposed to live under that house.
Yeah.
Because it's right by a rail track, and people would jump off the rails and just find shelter in that house, and that's what that house is known for. Is you have these creepy homeless guys, and then when not Richie, who Eddie. When Eddie walks
I liked
by
him a lot, by the way.
Yeah, he was.
he
really-
gets a homeless
really
guy
good.
running after him, offering him a
Blowjob,
blowjob
yeah.
for a quarter.
Yeah. He's chasing him, and he's like, yeah, no. So I remember that portion of the book, and I'm not sure why, but he's like yelling obscenities and like
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
and I'm just like, Anyway, so I'm gonna get back to the plot, and we're gonna push on forward. So Bowers, not a big fan. Bowers, great mullet,
Solid mullet.
solid mullet.
They were menacing. They were the right amount of menacing, but like, and you know what's cool too about them in that the way that they were cast was they were clearly physically more imposing than the losers.
yes.
Like they were like each of them were a foot taller than them.
Yeah.
Janky Kylo Ren was
Janky Kylo Ren.
He was
That's
tall.
who he reminded me of.
Oh.
While we're talking about lookalikes, when I first saw
Janky
Bev,
Kylo Ren.
yeah, man.
when I first saw Bev, I was just thinking Kirsten Dunst the entire time.
Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah,
No,
like,
I was thinking.
Spider-Man.
What's her
Yeah.
name? Shoot. Oh,
I was actually
Lois Lane
thinking
in
Molly
Thing.
Ringwald.
Molly Ringwald,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was
I
on
was
the
thinking.
Amy
Adams, yeah.
I was thinking
At certain angles, I saw
Yeah.
Amy Adams.
Anyway, so we get introduced to them, and I'm trying to remember what happens next. Like they all go home. And they start having these like
Experiences.
experiences
Their
with-
experiences with
and
it.
the first
It.
one, who was?
I
the
think it's
first one?
Stan. Like when he's
With the painting, that also
Yeah.
didn't
That
happen
wasn't
at all.
first.
No,
That
no,
wasn't
there was
first.
somebody else that was before that.
Who was first?
It was Mike.
Mike Hanlon?
Yeah,
with
right. When
the
he's
hands
delivering
and
the
everything.
meat. Yeah, in the back.
Yes. Yeah. So a word about these, and now we can get into some of the things. So we have these like little vignettes of like these kids experiencing this. We had he's afraid. You know, like he a terrifying moment in his life was when the place burned down with his parents inside. Stan's got the crazy lady in the painting.
Yeah, the painting.
Yep.
And Bev has got this, you know, like, I don't even know what it was, but essentially it's like her trying to shed her identity because she's getting like, you know, she
chopped her hair off and then all the blood and
and Bill, obviously his brother, and who was left?
Ben with the mummy.
Oh well, he didn't.
So
Ben got chased. So here's the thing. So you mentioned the mummy, and so the one thing I do remember about the book was that Stephen King wanted all of his favorite horror icons in one story. So he wanted like the Wolfman, and he wanted the Mummy, and he wanted, you know, Dracula and Frankenstein and all these guys to be in one book and incorporate them somehow. So I'll sort of divert to you guys, but I think what happens is that it uses these fears against them.
Yep.
And in the film, that's not what they do. Although there is a hint of that, he does do stuff, but it's not too fine a point. All of the scenes that he's scaring the kids with are related to the plot in some way. They're not just like pop culture references.
No, they're not.
Right? So I like the fact that they were using the terror sequences to tell more of the story. They don't have any time. I don't have time to like scare these kids with the Wolfman and then, you know, scare Mike with the Wolfman and then like have somebody explain the fire at the, you know, at the, what was it called? The black spot. The black spot.
Remember,
yeah. Like stuff like that.
Yeah.
They actually incorporated the two so that they can tell this story faster. But you guys have different opinions on that, so please.
Yeah, you want to start with that?
No, I agree with you. I appreciate that. You know, they too try to use their fears against them, but I don't feel like they did a good enough job of that. Like,
really,
it was much later when you kind of realize that, oh no, maybe these are their personal fears that he's like some of them. So the painting was very obvious. You know, he walks into that room and he sees this creepy painting.
Yeah.
And then that was it.
Sure.
You know, and that's okay that they're using a different episode, right? But like the point was there though, that they're using the fear.
Yeah.
But for the like, I can't remember what Ben's experience was
in the book.
Yeah, no, in the movie.
In the movie, he
was
follows
in the library,
the
the
little
Easter
roasting
eggs.
The Easter eggs.
Oh, the eggs.
We
And
just
he's
finished
running around
reading
the
about the
library.
Easter egg explosion or the Easter explosion,
Right.
whatever.
That's
By the
what
way,
it was.
I felt that was a very scary scene. I like while it may not come from anywhere in particular, like in terms of like even plot.
It was a cool scene though. It really was.
For sure, plot.
When he was coming
like,
down the stairs,
when
and shit, that was
the
cool.
headless thing, and then when he's running, he's like, run, and you turn around, and it's like Pennywise chasing him. I was like, oh my god, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then he's like, and he runs into the librarian. Oh, did you guys notice in that scene, by the way?
He
While
runs
he's
the other
reading
way.
the book, it's like two things. One, it's like a continuity nightmare in the background because I'm just watching the librarian lurk. Did you see that in the background? She's like this.
Attention.
Was she really?
She's standing there like this.
Maybe that was on purpose.
And you can't see me, but like she's like smiling, like
Awkwardly.
grotesquely, like. So she stops moving and she turns towards the camera and she's like standing there staring at the camera in the background.
Oh, I never noticed that.
Yeah,
No, I
for
didn't
like
notice that.
for 2 or 3 shots, she's standing there like staring, and it looked like a smile on her face, or I think it was. So I'm like, oh my god, like something's gonna happen. And then the next shot, she's sitting in her chair. And the next shot, she's back putting like books on the thing, and I'm like, oh my god, this is like an editing nightmare.
Stay in one place.
Like teleporting everywhere. But I was gonna say, if you see the movie again,
Yeah, I'm gonna pay
You
attention to
were-
that. I've seen it twice and I didn't notice that.
Might
Yeah.
watch it again now too.
yeah. It's an interesting shot. Like they did nothing with it. It was kind of a red herring, or maybe something stupid I only noticed, or making more out of it than it actually is. But I noticed that she was like lurking. There was definitely the lurk factor was high on that. But that scene was great. I thought like when he goes down the thing and then the kid's coming out holding all of the eggs and then his head's missing. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, that was cool.
That's awesome.
That was cool.
Yeah.
No,
He shouldn't have even gone in that friggin' hallway. That kid, as soon as he saw a roasting egg, he'd been like,
really.
You're not gonna get me, Mr. Somebody.
I just
Well, he
read
doesn't
about
ever-
the Easter explosion. Let's go chase Easter eggs.
Yeah.
So you know what?
Smoking.
I
That's the
Easter
thing.
eggs.
He was just reading about everybody dying on Easter, and then he goes and he says, "I'm gonna
Ooh.
follow these Easter eggs."
That makes
he
a
just
lot of
read that.
sense.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think there were anyway. Actually, getting back to the point though, I think you've changed my mind. I actually, in the sense that I think they did do a good job of showing their fears.
Yeah,
and it is using against them. I totally forgot Ben's. I don't know why. It's actually a great scene. And I think they did set that up nicely. Where
they did. I just
it wasn't in the book like that. But that's okay,
But there's elements of what they were experiencing in the book that were huge points. I found, especially with Stan. Stan's character again was
he's
irrelevant,
sidelined,
which I understand, but they still could have done more with him as kids. Like it just in this first one, if they end up doing the sequel and whatever, if he's useless, he's useless. But like they could have done a lot more with his character in this one. I felt at least. And Mike went to shit as well.
Yeah,
those
that was one character where I feel like
I was very
didn't do enough
disappointed.
for him.
Not at all.
Yeah. So his fear, short film. I don't know what to call them, like episode.
Yeah.
They were all like I thought they were all like pretty well done. But I think my favorite was probably Ben, Fat Kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ben's, because I don't know. I thought that setup was great. And the whole like run. What is it, like run fatty run, or so? What does he say in the background? I'm like, oh my god, that's crazy.
Fatty. I think he just says fatty or something.
Oh, he says fatty.
Just
Like something he's like repeating, like he's repeating a word.
That's right.
I thought that was pretty frightening. But yeah, so like these kids experience. So now we're into the sort of, we've seen Pennywise several times. He has his big speaking moments. He's got a couple, like maybe two, or three, including the intro, where he's talking. What did you think of? Is Bill Skarsgård?
Bill Skarsgård,
Bill,
yeah.
like one of a Skarsgård, one of the clan. I mean, the Skarsgård.
I really
I
liked him.
really fucking liked
I think
him a lot.
that first scene, especially when he's talking to Georgie.
So good.
That whole transformation, I
brilliant.
was creeped out the moment he started talking.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, okay, this guy's perfect.
Creeped out, but like,
and then he just goes deathly quiet.
yeah. And
Oh
there's,
yeah, and just nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm
Oh,
like,
that was
whoa.
like.
That was so
Oh my
good.
God, I'm getting
Yeah,
goosebumps
exactly.
thinking about it
If
right
it was
now.
the water coming off of the sewer,
He's drooling.
He was drooling.
No,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
drooling, but that's the point.
I
Yeah.
love
Like
that.
Georgie doesn't he thinks it's just water.
Yeah.
But he's
drooling 'cause he wants to
literally
eat him.
drooling
Yeah.
because he's looking at, like a walking steak.
Yeah.
Salting the steak is like scaring them,
Yeah.
essentially, right? Salting the meat. But he's great, and the scenes that the attack scene, I think probably the scariest scene, or like the most effective scene in the film for me, was when he had the kid with the broken arm. No, I forgot. his name.
Yeah.
When he had him.
No,
Eddie.
Yeah, when he had him, and he was like scaring him, and then
He's
gonna,
like trying to like
pretend
his
pretend
hand
to
or
eat his
whatever.
hand. I was like, oh man, that was like, so.
Yeah, it's fucking scary.
Yeah, and the kid was doing a really good job of being scared,
Yeah.
like just like being bumbling, like screaming and whatever. So yeah, Bill Skarsgård, like
Yeah,
Oh,
really
terrific
good.
job. Yeah.
Really
Terrific,
freaking good.
yeah.
I think he was great.
So these kids end up they have their little experiences, and then but you know what they have interspersed with these, like summer fun. I thought they did a really good job of
Yeah.
capturing that childlike summer
I like that. Yeah.
magic, I guess you would call it.
And you know what? Very, very funny. Like Richie
so
was
good.
hilarious.
Richie was fucking amazing.
Like
Richie
he's
was so
funny in
He
the
was
book,
so
but I think he's
funny.
funnier on screen.
Oh yeah.
I think he was
Yeah.
way funnier in the movie than he is in the book. Like he is supposed to be a wisecracker.
Yeah.
But he was hilarious.
Oh,
in the
too
movie.
funny, man.
He also seemed a lot more natural than Seth Green did in the original one.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
really
yeah.
Kind of
serious.
it didn't seem authentic. This
Yeah.
one was like joke. The mom jokes.
Oh, dude, he's-
What is this, birth control?
Yeah,
Save
it's
it
like
for your sister.
That was too good.
I think that was Eddie's moment actually.
was
there,
Eddie's
but-
moment.
Oh, yeah, Eddie said that. Yeah. So I do sometimes I have an issue with kids being overwritten, like they're smarter than they seem to be, or they're more quippy than they seem to be. I think the film does make that mistake sometimes, where it's like, okay, these kids are a little too
Quippy.
Picking up on it too quick.
Yeah. But I think it straddles that line. It doesn't like barrel it over, you know, like, and I think that is still believable.
And they are supposed to be smart kids. Like they're the losers club because they're all geeks, really.
Right,
Yeah, they're all a bunch of
Inherently.
nerds.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, so they have these moments of like summer fun. They jump into the quarry, and and all of that stuff. And I love the scene where like Bev. I keep saying Bev, but Bev is like, you know, getting a suntan, just hanging out. All the kids are just, and they're listening to like Run DMC or something, because there are all these 80s references now, right? So it's like Run DMC, and they're all just staring at her, and then she looks up, and they're all like,
just kidding.
so it's just kidding, yeah, just like whatever, we're just talking, whatever.
She loved the attention.
It's so funny. It was really, really well done and like innocent and sweet, and like they did a good job of interspersing these horror moments with stuff that was, you know, funny and effective, but not funny in the way it's like, okay, stopping for comedic break. It's more of it's integrated with the story.
And I think it's important because in the end you have to remember they are children.
Yeah.
And they are the ones who are fighting the monster, right? And that's a big theme of this book and movie, is that it's the children who can only see the monster, as evidenced by a scene we'll come to later.
Yeah.
The adults can see these monsters. It's always the children who are going to fight it. It's only up to them. But sometimes you have to remind them, yeah, they're going through all these traumatic experiences, but they're still children at the end of it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they are.
And they did a really good job of that.
It's a good job of reminding you of that. So, a couple of things I wanted to call out. It was very like all of the scenes where the father can't see the blood in the bathroom when Bev has her sort of experience and the blood comes out everywhere.
Sink,
It was very like Nightmare on Elm Street. Like this whole thing, and they have a Nightmare on Elm Street direct reference in the film, which is crazy. No, I mean, maybe it's not crazy, but I mean, like, I think that this movie owes a lot to Nightmare on Elm Street, like a tremendous amount, because those are kids who are experiencing things that parents cannot see, and all of it is very unreal. Like, it's not real, right? So, and it's their fears. So it's like, it's all Freddy Krueger and, you know, Pennywise the Clown have a lot in common. You know, so they're probably part of the same union. So, I thought, and even that scene with the blood coming out of the sink, I don't know, have you guys seen Nightmare on Elm Street, the original?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Johnny Depp, spoiler alert, Johnny Depp is in that movie. I think that was his first movie.
That was his
Johnny Depp is in Nightmare.
Yeah.
First one, yeah.
And I knew that.
Yeah.
Trivia reasons.
His death scene is famous because it's like one of the more like effective ones. He gets sucked, like he falls asleep and he gets sucked into his bed, and then this like fountain of blood comes out and it sprays all over the ceiling, essentially, right? And it's like really effective death scene. It was a lot like Bev's experience.
Yeah.
Blood
Just
coming out of the
everywhere.
drain, hitting the ceiling, and like spreading everywhere. So the Nightmare on Elm Street correlations are really, not only are they like conceptual, but I think they're actual visual. Like,
Interesting.
there's actually a tie there, and I wouldn't be surprised if the director.
I wonder if Stephen King was inspired by that, because
When did he
Possible.
write it?
I think it's like 82 or something.
Oh, when was Nightmare made? I don't know. Maybe
It was 80s.
It was in the 80s.
It was
Nightmare's-
early 80s.
Nightmare was 80s,
Mid
yeah.
80s? Probably mid 80s.
Yeah. I just wrote Nightmare.
Nightmare.
The other thing that I noticed in the movie that I actually really liked, the addition of, was that kids show in the background.
At the background, just always talking about
It was a
the sewer.
recurring
Oh, it's
theme.
about-
It was a
oh, that
recurring
was
theme.
cool. I
Very
like
cool.
that.
Very
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
That part of it I thought was really cool, even before it like was very obviously like just being like, kill him, Henry, kill them all, and like
It was
Pennywise was
very
in it.
obvious
Yeah.
subliminal messages.
Oh yeah, and like, and I was trying, because the first time I saw it, like it took me till maybe like the second or third time that it like came around on screen that I was like,
Oh,
wait,
she's
what
talk-
is she
what's
saying?
she saying?
Yeah, so I was like trying really hard to like actually listen to it, and it was just, yeah, you and all your friends should come play in the sewers.
Sewers.
Yeah,
The
that's
sewers
right.
are great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sewers are so fun.
It was a good addition. I thought that was a good
I
addition.
like that a lot. Yeah.
Nice touch.
Yeah. So moving on, so we basically, all these kids have had their experience, and then there's something that happens that basically they meet Ben because he gets bullied, and these parents ignoring this stuff, and the old lady sort of
Driving
at the
off.
beginning, you know, kind of semi-ignoring, like
Yeah.
the kid in the sewer, you know, she was hanging her clothes or whatever, taking them down.
To me, that didn't look like she was ignoring it. It just that she was
There's a
just
kid
like,
in the
"Ah,
sewer."
It was
there's
like,
a
oh,
kid."
that's weird. And then she saw like the blood in the
And
water.
then she immediately reacted.
It's very
to that.
Jaws-y, by the way.
Yeah.
But then these grown-ups ignoring like the Bowers kids. And I think that's like a common theme in the book as well. I think they were trying to get that into the movie, that people are creepy, they're weird, and they're purposefully like they're ignoring some of this stuff because they know something's going on. They just they don't care, or they don't want to mess with it. So they meet Ben, they meet Mike. They get that little scene where like he's Pennywise hiding in the bushes with a hand.
That was
That was so weird.
Yeah,
That was so creepy.
That
I love
was-
he has that moment where he's like getting beat up, but he sees this. He's like, "What the fuck?"
I think that was a little odd. Like I don't think that was.
I don't think that
necessary.
needed to be there.
It wasn't
Yeah.
necessary.
it
no.
didn't need
It-
to.
it was-
that kid getting beaten up just because he was a black kid by a bunch of racist, horrible people.
Yeah.
Was powerful enough
They took
to
a
throw
lot
that in.
of
It was
the
like,
racist
huh?
shit out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the
Oh, I could
movie.
imagine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of the racist stuff out.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, the way that they found or Mike met them or whatever was kind of different just before that rock fight.
Yeah.
That rock fight was great.
That
also.
rock fight was so dope, and that line Richie throws out, he's like, "Go blow your dad, you mullet wearing asshole," or what does he say?
Yeah, that's
Something
pretty
like
much
like
it.
that.
I was like, "Oh, that was amazing! That was amazing."
Yeah, Richie made that movie for sure.
So actually, while we're on the topic of
Yeah.
adults, there's one I really, really wish they would have included in the movie is how Patrick
Hocksetter
Hocksetter dies.
I heard it. I remember reading that it's very gruesome. In the
It
book.
is so gruesome, and there's this.
Do tell.
Oh, and remind me if I forget something at any point. But there's a fridge lying somewhere in this abandoned
Oh,
area of
yeah.
town, and it's just been like somebody threw out a fridge. It's this ginormous fridge.
Yeah.
And people always pass by. They don't really touch it. People tend to just like throw stuff in there just for kicks,
Yeah.
And I think it's at one point the kids are running away from these bullies, and Patrick and somebody else, one of the other bullies, they come across this fridge, and they think they're hiding inside the fridge. So they
Right.
open the door, and Patrick is afraid of leeches.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
remember
right.
this.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember
And so these leeches start flying out this fridge,
Yeah.
attaching on him and sucking his blood out.
Oh.
And at first he's like, "Oh, leech, whatever," throws one off, and suddenly they just keep coming and coming and coming. Eventually, they drain all the blood out of him, and that's how they find him, is completely drained of blood.
blood?
And the
Oh.
kids find these leeches just hanging off the fridge because they're so full they can't even move anymore. And then
That's
when the
fucked,
kids
eh?
get there, they all pop. And
Ugh.
there's blood everywhere.
Yeah.
No.
And again, the adults don't see this. There's this bloody fridge lying in the
Yeah.
middle of the street
And they
in
can't
town,
see it.
and
They
no
just
one can
ignore
see
it,
this.
Do they make a point in the book that the folks are ignoring it, or
Absolutely.
that they can't
oh, yeah.
see it?
Oh yeah. Well,
Can't see it.
They
I
can't
think.
see it.
Yeah.
But I believe it's kind of a bit of both. Like they can't see
Sure.
it because they're unknowingly
Older,
ignoring it.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Oh, I see. So it's a combination of like self-fulfilling prophecy, where it's like they know something's going on, but since they don't out of sight, out of mind, they just don't see it.
Yeah,
it
I guess for the
manifests
most
as
part.
not being able to see it.
Yeah.
It's like
So like with Bev and the washroom or whatever, Dad comes in and he's like, "What blood? What are you talking
yeah,
about?"
yeah,
Yeah.
She's just like, "Oh, it's a spider or something." I think she blamed it on in the book or whatever.
She realizes right away he can't
see it.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay,
So she's
yeah.
just like, "Oh, nothing. Just kidding."
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay. So Hocksetter has a pretty gruesome death. I thought his this whole thing with the flamethrower thing, the sequence, I thought that was pretty good. Because when the flame is in front of the camera, you actually can't see
Anything.
coming.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when the flame dies down, then you can see what's in front of your face. I thought that was really well done. So Hocksetter, dies. These characters are all going missing, and then they end up talking about it. And I can't remember when exactly. They on the street where they
I
have
think it
a
was
moment.
after the diving scene.
Yeah, the
When they're
diving
jumping
scene where
in
they
and
talk
stuff.
about and they basically say, okay, we've all been experiencing something weird. Oh, by the way, the reason I think that they inserted that scene where he's like, "Hello," in the woods with the severed arm is because
so he can see him.
He hasn't seen the
seen him
clown
at that
yet.
point. Yeah, that makes sense. Yes, you're right.
No, he saw
Oh.
Pennywise in the first
No, he did.
place.
He did.
He didn't actually
Oh, no,
see.
He
He
did.
saw him
He
through.
did.
He did.
But
through
very
the
briefly,
curtains.
he kind of sees the yellow lights glow.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
waves at him from
It was a
there.
little bit too ambiguous because
Yeah.
at that point he can't say
Oh,
I
I
saw
guess,
a clown.
yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
Well,
Like,
one
we
of
know it's a
Bev
clown, but he
didn't
doesn't
see
know
the
for
clown.
sure.
No,
That-
she didn't.
Yes,
That's
she
right.
did after she
After.
killed her dad.
After, but I
After,
mean,
yeah.
like at part of that conversation, she hadn't seen Pennywise yet because it was just
No,
the blood
no.
sequence.
No,
So, but that-
no, the whole scene with her dad was after they run away from the house.
Yeah, that was after.
So she
that was
sees
after.
it at the house.
No,
She
what I'm
didn't go
saying
in,
is
though.
in that moment where they stop and they say, "Oh, have you seen this clown?" Yeah, I've seen this.
Oh,
clown.
she hasn't.
She hadn't
yeah.
seen.
She
it
hadn't
yet.
seen
She
it,
hasn't,
no.
and
And
neither
Stan.
has
Neither would've-
has Stan. Really.
Stan
No,
has
yeah,
not.
Stan would not
But
have either.
But they know that something weird is going on, right? So
They understand and come to the conclusion that like, oh well, this clown asshole is shape shifting and all these things that scare us. pretty
yeah,
much.
then that's what leads to this scene with the slide projector.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah, that-
sorry. Before that, They actually okay. I applaud these guys because they managed to get an '80s montage into a film about them cleaning a room full of blood.
Yeah, they did.
I was like,
They did.
I was gonna slow clap them. Like, well done, guys.
did, actually.
You took the '80s montage and made it fucking hilarious and gruesome all at the same time.
Yeah, that's
It was so
looks
good. I thought that was like cleaning the and I can't remember who it was cleaning the window.
Stan.
But he was standing like mowing a lawn, like he's cleaning a window like you mow a lawn. And there was one scene where they put the mop on the ground, this like '80s tune is pumping, and they swipe it. They swipe the floor, and it does nothing. Like the blood is still like all
spreading the blood everywhere.
Just moving around
like,
a bit.
I'm like, you guys need an expert. You cannot do this yourselves.
Molly Maids, man.
Yeah.
Just call Molly Maids.
But yeah, so the '80s montage, I thought that was pretty great. So anyway, so we basically from there we get the slide projector scene, which I thought was really good, but you had different feelings about that.
No, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It didn't happen in the book.
So I think it replaces
The photo
The
album.
photo.
No, I think
Oh.
it replaces the smoke hole. Where-
I guess that's true too. Because I was
Yeah.
talking to Justin about that on the way here. I was
And
like, "There's
so
this
I was
whole
telling
thing.
you, there's this smoke hole event in the
Yeah,
book
yeah, you're saying.
where they kind of have a bonding moment, and
pretty
in
much all
fact,
get
it's
high.
Mike and I think
Dad.
it's Mike and Stan who stay in the smoke hole the longest. So it's their moment to shine, really, because everyone's kind of done their thing, and they say no. Oh, maybe it was Ben, Mike and Ben, maybe. But I know it's definitely
whatever.
Mike.
Mike for sure.
Yeah, and they stayed the longest in the hole, and they have a vision, and they then understand what it is.
Yeah.
Like, it is this ancient evil that came to town a long time ago, kind of the antithesis of the turtle.
Yeah.
And now they kind of know what they're up against, because until then, they don't realize what they're facing.
Right.
So, I guess to replace that, they did this whole scene where
That-
they
that-
realize
that's kind of cool,
this thing
actually.
is
Yeah,
coming
yeah.
from the sewers, it
Yeah,
probably lives in
yeah.
the sewers, and this is where we need to go.
I didn't really put it into that perspective, but yeah, that makes a lot of
Yeah,
sense.
I think they just
Yeah.
replaced it with that.
What did you think of the actual scene itself?
I liked it.
That was
I
one of the moments
liked
that I
it.
got startled by,
Yeah.
because it went to pure black, and then all of a sudden it's like, holy shit! I didn't mean to see that. I didn't think I was going to see that.
Yeah.
It was
It was-
and it wasn't a jump scare to me. Like it didn't try
Well
and
earned.
push in it. It was very well earned. It
Yeah.
built up the suspense like a lot, and then you wouldn't expect to see giant Pennywise just crouch down.
That's the other thing. Like
That giant
his
head.
size
Yeah.
was startling. I was just like,
That was
I'm like,
really
oh, he's
cool.
gonna be standing there. I thought he was
Yeah.
gonna be standing there, but no, when he showed up, he's
towering.
fucking huge. I'm like, oh my god, that was great. Really, I thought that was well done and different. Like I
Yeah.
hadn't seen anything like that before. That was really,
No, they did a
really
good
well
job.
done. Terrified from there, and then he's basically after that they jump to this crazy conclusion. And they're like, okay, so like they're walking through a fair, and I can't remember if I'm getting the chronology right here, but they're like, so this thing wakes up every 27 years and eats kids. I'm like, whoa.
Because Ben did all the research.
Yeah, but where did the eating kids part come?
Because there was all
That-
the kids,
kids-
going
kids
missing.
dying.
Kids dying.
It's dying. I don't
Oh,
think they said
but did they
eating.
say like, no, he said eating kids. Like
No,
in the movie,
really?
he says, and he eats
remember
kids.
that.
See,
And I'm
but
like,
the other reason why they would come to that conclusion in the book, I guess, is because again, most of the
dismembered.
deaths,
Yeah.
most of the deaths that get discussed in the book and everything like that, it's like, oh, this person's missing a leg, this
Yes,
person's missing
yeah.
They
an
find
arm.
the bodies always missing.
They're just
something.
mutilated.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm not gonna dwell on this for very
I can't
long.
remember if
I
he
just-
says eating though, but
He does.
He
like
might
the
have.
news article that Ben looks at, they show that the Easter egg hunt, like
Yeah.
of so many killed, most of them were kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's
Yeah.
always massive.
It's always a
Yeah.
massive,
lot of kids dying.
kids because
Okay,
kids
so
are
I
scary.
get that. Yeah, I get that. So
But that scene tells them exactly where they have to go, right? Because the
well.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's
It's like,
right,
we
yeah.
got to go to the well.
Which
Yeah.
is in the Nebolt
house. Yeah. So they basically.
There's an ice cream truck passing here right now, which is just adding like just the right amount
I
of
was like, should I be scared
creepy
or should I
clown
be
music.
excited right now? I don't know.
It is creepy. Yeah. So they go from the fair. They realize that what they're up against, and they go to Newbold House.
Yeah.
And they have this big this chase sequence in Newbold House, and
Which wasn't a really good, well executed plan or
Nope,
planned plan.
not well-
Wait,
They
let's
didn't
get
do
us.
the book.
Wait,
but they're
They went prepared in
Yeah.
the book.
They're kids. I think the one thing I'm getting upset about in this film is that they recognize that they need to stay. So after the Newbold House, they recognize they need the reason that they were able to combat it was because they were together, and there's this like this
Unity,
theme of unity. Fuck! At the end of this movie, these idiots walk off all the time. And it's not like,
and they said it before too. They're like, we have to stick together. All I could think of was how it should have ended. I said we all stick together. That was they should have stuck together.
I agree.
That
So now
was
normally
very,
I don't
very-
get upset about this kind of thing, or doesn't stand. I'm not upset about it, but I like doesn't stand out because nobody's like, okay, we need to. Like nobody explicitly says like we need to stick together.
No,
like,
they
we
did.
need to-
Sorry,
They did.
are
But
you?
no, what I'm saying
Yeah.
in other films.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not like super. But this one, they all acknowledge the fact that because they are together is why they're
Why they're
surviving,
winning.
and they're fucking constantly splitting up.
But
Slightly.
no.
Well, but Stan disappears in his mind or something like that.
Yeah, so that's but the thing is though is that like it's Pennywise fucking with them essentially,
Yeah.
right? So like when they're in the sewers, I remember in the book they describe it like, you know, in one sense it's like they're all squished together or whatever, and then they take 2 steps and it's like everyone
I
just
see.
spans
That's
apart,
what they were
right?
trying to do.
So that I think is what
They
they
were
were trying to
get
do
that.
there.
With
It
Stan-
wasn't them just wandering off. Like
Yeah.
Stan took 2 steps and was gone.
was gone.
true,
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
So Stan's disappearance, I get. Fucking Bill. He grabs that shit and chases his
Starts
brother
walking
down the
away.
fucking starts.
Yeah, he's
I'm
an
like,
idiot.
and he's the guy that recognized the fact that they needed to stay together and said it like 3 times. in the movie.
I thought the
Bye.
same thing, but I was also thinking like he is so gangster because he knows they need to stick together. He's like, I'm gonna get this motherfucker.
yeah,
Give
he's
me
like
that gun.
Ahab.
I got the he was like Ahab exactly.
Did
He
that
just-
did that with Bev
was like a
actually happen
spear.
in the book too?
No.
Because I can remember that when she gets in the deadlights.
Okay, so when I mentioned earlier, when I said this movie was a little too long and I would have taken something out of it, the entire time between when they first went and assaulted Pennywise's house, I can't remember they built
They assaulted Pennywise.
They assaulted. They're like, let's go get him without much of a plan. But once they went there, and then he escapes and go down the well, and then they give each other shit, and Bev gets captured. That entire block between when they leave and come back to that house could have been completely
split up.
omitted. Yeah, completely omitted. Dude, explain to me why that needed to be in there. Because all it did was tack on another 15 minutes to a film that could have been better spent on other things.
Yes.
Because all they were doing was leaving and then coming back to kill Pennywise. Whether Pennywise had Bev or not was completely irrelevant. They were going to go back down there and kill Pennywise. They could have just chased his ass down there. How do we get down there? We use this rope. Let's go.
So-
He's wounded.
This is where they fell prey to the trying to follow the book actually.
Yeah, okay.
This is what happens. They decide to just take on Pennywise, go to the house, and realize they're completely outmatched, and they do the smoke hole scene after.
Yep.
Right? So that scene was done, or in the book it was done after, and now they realize what they need to do.
Yeah.
And then they go into the sewers and follow him to his origin, or where he actually lives, and
Right.
take him on there.
But-
so in the movie, they, like, I understand what you're saying. Like,
Yeah.
they could have, because they skipped that part in the middle, it just makes no sense for them to just fight, then get together so easily again.
Yeah.
I
They were already together. They already
Yeah.
had a cause. And they were already formidable enough that Pennywise had to fucking retreat. At that point, let's chase him down.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like that was, they were trying to be too faithful to the book, but then
Yeah.
at the same time they skipped the important part that happens in between.
Yeah.
So then it just kind of takes away from the movie because
Yeah.
of that.
That's true.
So I think I disagree because I like the idea of them going in there, seeing what they're up against, finally physically take shape, and not being able to kill it with a spear to the face, right?
Through the
Which
eye.
was through the eye. Oh, by the way, this whole scene in the house, I thought that was really well done. And
3 doors. That was really cool.
3
That was
doors,
pretty
not
funny,
scary,
actually.
scary,
Love
not
that.
scary at all. Yeah, great
Look,
stuff.
they have his buddy, guys. That's not scary.
Yeah, that's right. What happened to her?
What happened to his leg? That's
what
right.
happened
That's
to
what
her
he said.
legs was a great line. But I think the standout here for me, the creepiest moment, is when Pennywise comes out of the fridge, which I think is a nod to the fridge from the book. because
Oh, I guess so.
he
Yeah.
You're right. He
unfolds-
just,
That's
like,
true. Yeah, and like
Yeah.
that
Unfolds
was really
himself.
cool.
He
That was pretty-
unfolds himself,
And then turns his head
turns
around
his
360,
whole body
Chucky
around.
style.
Yeah, and comes at him, and he's got him, and like it's the first time he has physical form, and he's like playing with him, and like the
Yeah.
finger thing where he's like fake
Gonna
biting
bite
his
his hand.
fingers, and it was just like, and then when Bill comes, he's like, am I not real enough
Yeah.
for you? I was like, oh shit, this is good. This is
He
Yeah,
like,
stops
that
because
was
he
cool.
realizes they may have found a means to fight him. Because he pauses. He's about
Yeah,
to
he's
like,
about
he's
to.
about to do something to
do some damage. Yeah,
To
take a little
Stan.
taste.
keep doing this.
Yeah.
And at the same time, Bill tells Richie that don't be afraid. This is not
isn't
real.
real. This isn't
and
real.
They
So he has to
realize, and they
convince
open the
him.
door, and there's nothing there. He's like, "Oh crap, hold on.
Yeah.
They may have found a trick against me."
Yeah.
I thought that was really well done.
I thought
I
so too.
like that a lot.
Both of those scenes were good. It was just the whole thing.
Anyway,
Just
God.
take that out.
he breaks his arm and he like I don't know what he does. He like snaps it back into place.
Richie,
Like, yeah, like, what a
Snap your
What did he
bones.
do?
There's nothing to
That
snap
was
in place.
that was broken. It wasn't dislocated. It
No.
was broken.
That was
Yeah,
fully broken.
that was fully
yeah.
broken, and he's just some kind of field medic. Anyway,
It would have been funnier if he would have done that and they would have been like, "Oh, what are you doing? That doesn't work."
Yeah,
That made it worse.
great scene. And then this is the what we've been talking about is this whole like 10 minutes in between. I like this because they broke up and they basically they saw something so frightening that they didn't want any part of it. A lot like the people of Derry, right?
Yeah.
So they're going through the same thing where it's like I don't want to deal with this. If I just forget about it, this guy goes back to sleep for 27 years. I can walk away from this, right? And I like that because they're still kids. They want to live, right? They're not like heroes yet, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So they basically have to prove them that they have to go. This is all like standard sort of like hero's journey kind of stuff. In the middle of the hero's journey, he becomes lost, right? And he has to find his way back. And this is that's their. I think that they kind of stumbled around in this area. You're right. It was kind of a pocket that didn't have a lot of plot going on, but it allowed Pennywise to kidnap one of them, to take one of them. And it's because they weren't together that Pennywise was able to do that. True. Right?
Didn't happen, right?
In the movie.
Sorry.
Yeah.
In the book.
Yeah. So that would be my argument for keeping it in there, but I understand. But the other thing is that they don't explain the other kids.
No, and they
That Mike just have you guys seen Suicide Squad?
yeah.
Okay. You know there's a part in Suicide Squad where they have that drink at, well, you haven't seen it, but you have that drink in the bar where they're like it's like, if you want to leave, there's the stuff, you can leave.
Yeah.
Captain Boomerang just grabs his shit and like runs out the door.
Yeah.
And then they have this crazy like coming together, and then there's a slow motion shot of all of them walking to do the business, and then Captain Boomerang just comes out of the wreckage and is just like walking with them. It's like,
What the hell?
just happened here? Yeah.
Didn't you just leave because you didn't want to be a part of this and you're probably gonna die,
Yeah.
and now you're back for no reason? Mike,
Same thing.
Stan,
Yep.
now they're all just riding bikes together after that, and I'm like,
Even Richie, like he's the one who's most pissed off.
And he's playing
on the
hardball.
fight,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he's like, oh, he took Bev. Okay, I'm in.
I'm in. But they don't
That's the
explain
thing.
any of the other kids after ever broken up, and I think that's the weak part.
They could have taken the 10-15 minutes that they spent on that block, done 3 minutes of them saying exactly what you're saying, and then being ready to walk away, and then them just coming to realization, like, we have to do this together. Like, something along those lines. But, like, that whole... they didn't offer anything in that block of time between them that really sold anything to me. There was the dad thing, and then Pennywise taking her. That was kind of creepy. But what else happened there? Like, nothing was memorable to me.
No.
Aside from them being like, oh, they got Bev. We need to do exactly what we were doing in the last few scenes, but we spent more time doing other things.
Yeah.
We already established that her dad was creepy as shit.
Yeah, yeah.
They could have knocked him out earlier if they really needed to for the story.
Right.
It didn't aid the story in any way.
Right.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it was probably the weakest part of the movie.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
that
Easily.
that portion. Then we get to the climax where they come back together and they go down the well, and what's his name? Bowers kills his dad, which I thought that was a pretty good, scene. It was like very effective.
Yeah, it was.
How did Pennywise mail that? Like,
Do you say panty-wise?
no, I said Pennywise.
said
I think I said Pennywise.
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 That's a different movie.
That's a very different movie. Anyways, no, like, did he use USPS? Like, that's good. That's good mail delivery.
The
Oh, to get
For the knife.
The knife.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
Hocksetter stole it. Did Hocksetter have a knife? No, he didn't.
No,
No,
he
he
just
had
lost
no
it.
idea.
When
He just
fell
lost
down.
it in the
woods.
But it was
Lost
never
in the
said whether he
woods.
found it or not. So
No,
I
I
guess
see,
Pennywise was
yeah.
really good at
Mailed
finding
it to
things.
him. And,
Okay,
yeah.
I just like that. I'd like that deleted scenes of where Pennywise is just looking in the woods.
That would have
this
actually
looking?
been better. That would have been better than him in the woods with the arm going like this. Is him looking for the knife,
Oh, hello.
and then he just walks
With
away.
the arm in the other hand.
So, anyways, yeah. So that's what after he kills his dad, then he goes after them. He's just kind of a quick lackey. He really didn't. That didn't need to happen, but there were some good scenes with it, so I can't really complain.
Yeah.
that was all right.
So the weird part about that was his two friends. Where
just
are
disappeared,
They just
yeah.
disappeared.
They disappeared
Like
in the
they're
story.
supposed to be super
Helpful and creepy.
Yeah.
They didn't really. Do
Well, the one
squat.
guy, they were giving him sort of a redeeming arc, like where he's just like, hey, Bowers, like chill out.
Chill
you know,
out.
Don't
like,
kill
yeah,
my
Carving his
cat.
name in it.
Which I like. I like that aspect. You know, like not making them such like blind villains, but like having at least one of them.
It was
be, like,
it was
kind of-
Bowers. Like Bowers was the psychotic one. for
Yeah,
sure.
right.
Absolutely.
Right,
He's
yeah.
clearly got
Yeah.
problems.
So he follows them, and they go into the well, and they bring this like what is it, like a pressure gun? I've never seen anything like that.
Bolt
before.
gun, yeah.
Bolt
The
gun?
only thing I could think of, it was like No Country for Old Men, but that was an
Like
air
an air
compressor.
gun,
yeah.
But I think it's a
yeah.
bolt that operates on air compression. I
like
don't think
hydraulic.
it's a bullet.
Yeah, it's
but I think
hydraulic.
it's something along those lines. But that I thought he was going to get Bauer with that, but he didn't end up getting that. The well
Yeah.
did the job there.
Dude,
but-
he knocks him into the well.
Yeah, that was
and
a.
Yeah,
it was a long fall.
that was a long fall. And this is where Stan gets attacked by the painting woman. And I thought he was dead.
I thought he was dead.
I thought he was
I'm like, this is
100%
it.
dead.
He's dead. No,
Even
but
his
it's
face.
He's
like
like
his face.
digging into the side of his
Yeah.
face, ready to take his face off.
Yeah.
But this is an example of what you were describing in the book, where you're taking two steps. Like he's trying to divide them, whether it's physically or like mentally,
Yeah.
trying to split them up. And then we have the scene with Pennywise and Bev, which leads to the best shot in the movie.
The dance.
The dance.
The dancing clown.
And they say Pennywise the Dancing Clown there,
Yeah.
so I thought that was pretty great.
The
That's
angriest
that's what he
dancing
is.
clown
Like that's
in
how he introduces
the
himself
world.
always.
Yeah,
is
Pennywise
the dancing clown.
Yeah, that was. I didn't know. I was terrified and I was laughing like all at the same time.
Yeah, I know,
was
it's like, what the fuck?
I'm like very confused about how I feel about this shot right here.
It was really weirdly timed. Like
I mean,
she
I don't know.
wakes
He's
up.
a demon clown. Nothing is poorly timed.
No, like demon.
No,
demon
not
hoedown
poorly timed.
fighting.
I'm just saying weirdly timed. This for him to like show off this dance while he's waiting for the others to come in. It's kind of like a egomaniacal villain almost.
Yeah, maybe he's
You
trying
know,
to
like-
scare her because he knows that she's not afraid. But I don't see how doing the hoedown, the demonic hoedown, is gonna do the trick. There was the shot though when she's trying to run and he jumps from the stage and it's one shot, really well done. Like one take,
like flies out.
flies
at her,
out
yeah.
like he lands right on her. I thought that was really
The superhero
really,
landing.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
And then the deadlights show up, which are a big part of the miniseries and the book.
And the
What did you
book.
guys think of the where he opens up his mouth
That-
and
yeah.
he sees like
That was okay.
That-
I didn't really
it's-
have much to think about it.
Yet. I mean, if they do the sequel or whatever, they should probably talk
they'll-
about it a little bit more in
they'll,
depth.
yeah.
Right.
And they did some of that like foreshadowing, I suppose, with like the Lego turtle and all that kind of crap,
Yeah.
or whatever,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool.
There was
Yeah,
a
so
couple of
lots
turtles.
of turtle references.
Yeah.
You
I know a little about it.
Oh,
I
you
know
do?
it's like
Okay.
the good
I
guy.
forget the whole the.
But
the
see,
It's like
for
the
anyone who
anti-Pennywise.
doesn't know, it's just turtle.
they're just turtles.
Right
There's the
now,
one
yeah.
shot when they're swimming in the quarry.
And
And they're
they
like,
thought
oh, what was
it's-
that? It was a turtle.
Yeah.
And then he dives into the water, and then it awkwardly cuts from that scene and doesn't show anything.
Yeah.
It just like the camera goes into the water, and then it cuts.
It's
to
the
someone else.
murkiest water.
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Couldn't see a
really good.
goddamn thing.
But there's definitely a turtle
well.
vibe going on there, and we can talk. You know, the Dark Tower, which is a Stephen King series that ties all of his stories and universes together.
I want to read that.
Yeah, so we're just he finished it.
And there's
I'm at the
references
last
to
book.
Pennywise as well,
Yeah,
right?
well, there's
Kind of.
there's
Kind of?
references
Not
to
outright references, but essentially they allude to it.
To it, okay.
they allude to him and this whole turtle, the not Gan, but what's
I
his
forget his
Turtle
name.
is a
now.
beam.
Maturin. That's his like
his
Maturin,
name, yeah.
the turtle of enormous
Girth.
girth. On his back, on his shell, he holds the earth or something like that. Yeah, so
Yeah.
like the antithesis of Maturin, the world turtle, is it, which is the consuming monster or whatever. They allude to that mythology, but definitely don't
They don't
play
touch
in
on
it,
it too
which
much.
is great because that's a whole other movie.
Movie.
Yeah,
Whole other world.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, what did you guys? So the deadlights,
Cool.
okay,
Cool.
Yeah, and
No,
like the
didn't really-
the floating aspect. She sees all the kids floating. What did you think about that?
They float too.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was not kidding. No,
No.
man was not kidding.
You'll
They
float
they
too.
went literal with that metaphor.
Well,
I thought it was
that's-
pretty cool. I
yeah.
thought the pile of like bicycles,
All their
skateboards,
stuff.
shoes,
Yeah, yeah.
clothes, everything that was like piled up. That
Washed
was
in with it.
yeah, that was very very cool. And they're all and I think some of them they're like missing limbs. They're like
Yeah.
pieces of them
Yeah,
floating in this
yeah.
Yep.
this.
It was nice that they fell after Pennywise
Yeah.
got dropped. They fell nice and slowly because that would have been upsetting.
They all just.
Bodies everywhere.
There's corpses just splattering everywhere.
Oh, God, that's
I was
fucking
considerate of Pennywise because
Thanks,
he had to be in
Pennywise.
control of that one.
awful. Yeah, that's disgusting.
All right, fine.
Yeah.
Slow.
So she's floating there, and they all come in. Bill, obviously, again, chasing his brother like a goddamn rogue he is. Not leading the team, but just like running off.
It was a rogue
supposed
moment.
to be the leader.
And then they bring her down, and she gets woken up by
Ben kissing her.
Ben kissing her.
That didn't happen.
So, and I thought that more or less worked. It was okay.
I
I like the reaction when he goes in to kiss her, and Mike's just like, is that really like, is now the time? Yeah. Is now the time to be doing that?
I didn't. I thought it was just too cliche.
How did they get
I thought it
snap
was
her out of
a
that? Or
little
that wasn't a
It
thing.
didn't happen.
No.
Yeah, like,
Well, she doesn't get kidnapped at all in the book.
Yeah.
No.
They basically decide to keep
it was
going after
cliched.
There's more deaths. More
Right.
kids
Yeah,
dying.
It was cliched, but they addressed the fact that it was cliched, and then it worked. So I thought it was kind of. I
guess,
thought it was
yeah.
like I was okay with it.
Yeah.
A little tongue in cheek, I guess.
But
yeah.
like then them like the whole Pennywise fight scene was fucking
so
great.
So
was
when
good.
they jump in and oh god, I thought that was great.
Yeah.
That was so
Yeah.
good.
cheering him up. Yeah, kick his ass.
I
his
knew
ass,
Richie
ass.
was gonna say something ridiculous. I thought he was gonna say, "Now you're gonna make me have to beat the shit out of this fucking clown." I
Yeah.
thought that's what he was gonna say, but he ended up saying like,
Now I
"No,
gotta
I'm gonna
kill
have
this
to
fucking clown.
Yeah, it was pretty close.
Yeah. I was like, he's gonna say something like that, and he grabs a baseball bat. I'm like, he's gonna do it. And it was almost the exact same line.
Oh, so good.
It was really, really good. Really well done, that scene. Because, also, one quick thing. When Georgie changes... So Georgie comes up and does this whole thing with Bill, and Bill says, no, shoots Georgie in the head, because it's not really Georgie.
I like that.
Because it's like him getting accepting
Yeah.
his death and getting over it. He can't use that to scare him anymore.
Yeah.
And him turning back into Pennywise...
I like that scene.
That was fucking crazy because it reminded me of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Like when the judge turns into like his
Toon
like,
counterpart.
Toon judge version of himself, and he's just like his legs they like spring out from his body, and the red puffs
On his toes.
Yeah, on his
Yeah,
toes,
yeah, yeah.
on the toes of his shoes. Yeah,
It's
that
like
was pretty
comedic and like horrifying all at the same time. And that fight scene was great. And this is where we get some of the mummy references there.
Yeah.
Right? With the bandages
funny.
coming
Yeah, when
out.
he gets in on Ben, and then you can see
Yeah.
the bandages are wrapping around him, and then
the
mummies
Wolfman
inside.
reference was when he had
In
the
the
claw.
house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the house when he's chasing them.
Yeah, and that wasn't even. Actually, no.
It was more
because
just a
Richie was there.
callback.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think it was a reference to anything in the movie. Yeah.
But yeah, it was just a clawed hand.
Well, it
I'm
had-
gonna take it as the werewolf just so that it's more.
It was
against
hairy.
the
It was a
book.
hairy
It was-
claw.
it looked hairy,
Yeah,
yeah.
claw. But nobody references the Wolfman or the Mummy in this movie at all. Like
No.
even in dialogue, they're not like, "Oh, I saw the Mummy yesterday. I'm so terrified." Like they never even say anything like that. These are literally just moments that they use. They're like, "Oh, we can call back to this."
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the book,
I
like,
guess.
True.
Yeah, no, it was great when he's just like, and there's one where he's like a crab
Praying mantis
or
almost.
whatever. But
Yeah.
he's like
Yeah,
stabbing like a lobster.
He's
or not
trying
lobster,
to get Mike at
yeah.
them.
Mike,
near,
yeah.
near the end of it, yeah, that happened.
Yeah. So what did you guys think of this fight scene?
No, it's great. I think he's like going through different monsters, trying really desperately hard to scare the
Scare
shit
them.
out of them.
Yeah.
So that he can prey on their weakness, and they are not falling for it really.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're fighting back. The fact that they can hurt him physically at all means they're not afraid of him, and he's desperately changing forms. I thought that was great. actually.
Desperation. Yeah, it's out
He's
of
just
desperation.
like, I'm trying to try this form, I'm going to try this form, nothing's working, and they keep getting at him.
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
Yeah.
All in all, man, this was a pretty fucking solid movie.
Yeah,
I
it was
thought
good.
that was a good way to end the film.
Yeah, the last scene where he's like escaping back into the hole and he says like his head sort of like cracks open.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
just
disintegrates.
Yeah, and he just says fear and like falls. I thought that was pretty good. Like it was ominous.
And then he was saying the phrase that Bill says, like, oh shit, how's it go now?
he was singing a song.
He
or
thrusts
something?
his hands against the post and still insists he sees the ghost.
Right.
Yeah, what is that? Yeah, he says
So-
that. I heard
I
him
thought it
say
was something
that.
for
What was
Bill-
that?
stuttering.
No, it is.
It's something for Bill
His
stutter.
therapist
Yeah.
tells him to say that so he can get over his stutter.
Oh.
And yeah, so the
Interesting.
Pennywise said that like at the very end as well, right? Before he
Yes.
said fear and then fucked off.
Yeah.
Which is weird. I don't know why he
I
said
don't know
that.
why. Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
if
he feeds
there's-
off fear. I don't know. Something along those
Oh,
lines.
thanks for that, Justin.
That's like me falling down and going like pepperoni.
No, nothing but pepperoni.
I thought his negotiating tactic was pretty strong too. Pennywise was like, "Oh, I'm totally fucked in this situation. I'm gonna try to talk my way out of
you
it."
guys go ahead. I'm gonna eat him.
But I liked his delivery there too. He was
Yeah.
still
Yeah,
like
yeah.
really creepy and like.
He was a great Pennywise.
But there's that
I
hint
was
of
happy with
desperation.
Oh yeah.
You can see he's like, I could just take him and you guys can live. And when he says like long, happy lives, you see how angry.
Long, happy
Yeah,
lives.
he's so angry
Yeah.
when he's saying it, and I think that in the book that he's angry with these kids, right? Like it's not just eating them for like nourishment.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like,
He's actually scared of them.
He gets,
So,
of course.
One of the things they didn't really do, again, I don't think it's a big deal. They didn't do it, but in the book, he constantly tries to get them because he realizes these kids are special.
Right,
These
yeah.
7 kids, and that number 7 is very important in the book.
Yeah.
It's the 7 of the kids, and 7's a magic number.
Yeah.
And as long as the 7 of them are together and they don't fear him, he's vulnerable.
Yeah.
So that's why he's always trying to get at them somehow.
And
Trying to prey on
separate.
their fears, separate them,
I
use the people that are close to them against them.
Yeah.
Like Georgie, like Bev's dad, things like that. Like,
Okay. Yeah, no, that was like I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that aspect. Like there was desperation, and then he fucks off. Like I feel like that scene was a lot like the one in Lord of the Rings, where he's like, "Fly, you fools!"
Yeah.
Gandalf falls off the thing. And it was like I feel like there should be a meme for that. But and then there was the epilogue at the end where they all get together and one by one they disappear, and I think it's a good setup for the next movie. And it says chapter 1.
Yeah.
Yep.
At the end.
Yeah.
So they're definitely hinting at the fact that
I
They
think
are
they're
gonna do
looking
the
to
sequel.
start shooting
it's
soon.
relatively.
I
They'd
hope
have
so.
to. This movie's making a boatload of money.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
It
Probably
is.
to its,
Sure.
it's probably a higher budget than most horror movies, but it's
It's
probably
doing
It's a
that,
very
yeah.
But-
handsomely produced film.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
If it like I would think it's at least 100 million, but it's
Oh, I don't think it's that. I think it's like 60.
60. It looks good for 60. Like
Well,
given
depending on
some of the
who they-
CG and stuff that they did
I don't
too,
know
the
who they're gonna
costumes, the
cast
for
sets,
the
some of it
cast
like
is going to be more expensive for the
For the
sequel,
adults,
too,
that's true, yeah.
depending
like
on who
something
they
like The
cast.
Conjuring's like 40 or maybe 50 maybe.
No,
30
no.
to
Conjuring
40?
is like no.
No?
Conjuring is like the Conjuring. The first one was made for like 6 million.
No, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was up there. I thought it was a little,
That would be
higher.
It's a single digit or a very very low double digit. I was just trying to look here at the production cost. One thing I wanted to mention. We're recording this podcast from Toronto, Ontario. This movie was filmed in Port Hope
Yeah,
and
it was.
Oshawa. So like
I
the
think
dirty
there was a scene in
schwa.
Guelph as well,
I
actually.
feel like I recognized some neighborhood. Like that looks so familiar.
Yeah. So like very very close by. Like Oshawa is like
Couple hours.
Oshawa's
If
not.
that.
Oshawa's like less than an hour, like 40 minutes from here. Port Hope is a little,
bit
further.
further,
Yeah.
yeah.
But the whole town of Derry, all in Ontario, it was very very cool. All over Toronto last week, they had these rain-coated.
Yeah, my
kids.
buddy's actually going to try and get me one.
Yeah, I like steal one of the rain-coated kids. So basically, it's like a raincoat with no face inside, holding a balloon.
yellow or red
Yeah,
balloon.
a red balloon.
Someone's trying to steal you, the raincoated kid.
So they, like it's because
not
that's what they were using
The
for like the
promotion.
promotion and
Yeah,
stuff, right?
it
I'm
was
so
very, very
shocked
cool.
they didn't have any of those in like the theaters or anything though.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's harder to get that type of promotion in a theater, but they just do it on the street. It was all over
That's what I mean,
downtown
though. Just put
Toronto.
one of them in the Cineplex, like just put it in the
Yeah, I guess
in the
that
hallway
costs more
there.
money. I don't know for that.
Instead
for
of
that
putting
type
it in
of thing.
Toronto, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's
But-
creepy as all hell.
Yeah, it's great. It was great. So we have some pictures of those because a lot of folks actually saw it. So with the post on this,
Yeah, we can- I can throw
we'll
some
just
of
like
those
throw those pictures up there, and you guys can see what kind of promotion they did in Toronto. So we're very happy to have this film filmed in Ontario. All in all, I think pretty positive. I felt really good about it. Any final thoughts you guys have?
Not really. I think
And let me guess yours, Sam. It wasn't like the book.
But I still liked it.
But you still liked it.
That's
There you
exactly
go.
what I was gonna say.
there you go.
I'll get over the fact that it wasn't to the book. But
Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah. So it was the production budget's actually 35 million. For this.
35, yeah.
But The Conjuring 20. Yeah. Shit. It was right between us.
first Conjuring?
The first one 20 million. But
Really?
it's right between you thought less, I thought more. So
Yeah.
we're both
Break
equally
even.
wrong.
Yeah.
All
I'm
right,
gonna work.
guys.
Last
Anything?
thoughts? Anything?
Oh no, I enjoyed it. And I really do hope they make a sequel.
Me too.
Oh, they will.
Oh yeah,
will.
sure. I'll be
It's already grossed 75 domestic. I think.
Really?
I think domestic. So yeah, it'll definitely.
cleaning up, man.
Yeah,
It and Wonder Woman. Big,
Yes.
big.
Wonder
hits
Woman's
for
the
them.
big earner of the summer of the year so far. I think.
Oh, I think so. Yeah,
So-
I'm happy about that.
We'll see where that goes when Justice League and Thor come out in November
Yes.
because those will be the
Oh,
big
that's
draws.
right. Yeah,
but
that's right.
other than that,
Yeah.
So, anywho,
Right.
that's
Okay.
been episode 8 something. Fuck, I don't know anymore.
It's not 8.
Yeah, I think it's
6.
Are we 6?
Yeah,
think
Dog
Dark
Tower
Tower
was
was
5.
6?
remember
Oh yeah,
right.
because we've done 2-parters. All right, yeah. So this is episode 6. It. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is Justin
This is Atul.
and our guests.
I'm Sam.
And Sudip.
Guys, thanks for listening and have a great rest of your day. Cheers.